Chapter 616. Quick look. Didn't Hokuto seal off the mountain? Why do I see someone coming out from there? During this period of time, the Big Dipper star field was surging with undercurrents. Many influential figures from the surrounding star fields had come to visit the Big Dipper sect. They all wanted to find out who the Big Dipper sovereign was. The Big Dipper sovereign was definitely going to appear, but now this person had disappeared without a trace. It was as if he had evaporated into thin air. Some people suspected that the heavenly tribulation was related to the Big Dipper sovereign. Even the experts from the various major powers were very suspicious. Could it be that the Big Dipper sovereign was facing the tribulation? After all, the strongest of the younger generation in Hokuto was definitely Bamboo Moon. Moreover, they felt that it should be Bamboo Moon to be able to withstand the heavenly tribulation until now. After all, the person undergoing the tribulation was sent to Hokuto. After that, Hokuto announced that it would seal off the mountain and not receive guests. If it was really Bamboo Moon and she had really fallen under the heavenly tribulation, Hokuto would definitely be in chaos. The other star regions would want to find out the specific situation and prepare to take advantage of this situation. No matter what, the identity of the person undergoing the tribulation was very important. The various major powers had sent people to pay close attention to the movements in Hokuto's ancestral land. Now that someone had come out of the starry sky array, it caused a huge uproar. Boundary-breaking talisman. Many people exclaimed. Before they could see clearly who had come out, the group of people who had rushed out of Hokuto had directly used the boundary-breaking talisman. This made them pale. The boundary-breaking talisman's value was needless to say, but the other party had used it directly. Some people were shocked. Could it be that there was a big problem in Hokuto, and someone had used the boundary-breaking talisman to escape? Right now, everything was just their own speculation. They couldn't figure out the specific problem at all. Baokai directly took out a boundary-breaking talisman and opened a space-time tunnel. The light of space-time order surged out. This boundary-breaking talisman was a treasure that could allow one to cross star regions. It was expensive and rare. Once used, even the Divine King would find it extremely difficult to quickly stop an expert using the boundary-breaking talisman. Let's go. Yuan let out a low roar. They had no choice but to leave this troublesome place as soon as possible. If news of Su Yan's presence in the Big Dipper starfield was leaked, they would be in mortal danger. Roar! Baokai carried the heavily injured Su Yan and jumped into the space-time tunnel in an instant. Their movements were extremely fast. They took out the boundary-breaking talisman just like that, which shocked the old divine beast. It had underestimated their foundation. However, the old divine beast wouldn't stop Su Yan's group and let them leave. It didn't want to cause trouble, and it didn't want to help a young supreme being who was on the verge of death. Boom! The light from the space-time tunnel was dazzling, forming a deep universe tunnel. The ability to distort the star field was quite shocking and terrifying. It was as if a cosmic beast was crossing through space and time. In a short period of time, they had left this star system. It had to be said that it was too fast. It was even more shocking than riding on the starry sky battleship. Before they left, Su Yan turned back to look at Hokuto. He was grateful to Star Element and the rest. No matter what, many experts in Hokuto treated him sincerely and wouldn't harm him. Let's go, Su Yan muttered to himself. Let's go. I don't want to come back. The space-time tunnel traveled rapidly, but it wasn't quiet during this process. Han Jinyuan didn't expect that they would use a boundary-breaking talisman so decisively. You want to leave? Not so easy. Han Jinyuan woke up in an instant. He had already crossed to the star field outside. The boundary-breaking talisman's speed was indeed fast, but Han Jinyuan was a heaven god. Moreover, he had the Big Dipper bell. He could sense some energy ripples from the boundary-breaking talisman. Boom! It was a shriveled and terrifying giant hand. It followed the space-time ripples and was secretly reviving the Big Dipper bell's energy. What's going on? Look! The spectators were shocked. They could see a space-time tunnel shattering in a blur. Han Jinyuan's palm cut through the sky and bombarded with terrifying speed. The space shattered like a mirror. This was the power of the heavenly deity. It affected the vast starry sky. Countless stars in the universe trembled along with it. Some of the great stars in the universe even exploded at the moment when the huge hand swept over. A heaven god is making a move. Something big must have happened in Hokuto. The heaven god's aura spread and shocked the experts gathered here. Everyone could see that the heaven god wanted to break open the boundary-breaking talisman tunnel and suppress the people who just left Hokuto. Hanjin Yuan, this old thing, is just like Hanjin. All of this fell into Su Yan's eyes. Although he was severely injured, he was relatively calm. Murderous intent appeared in his deep eyes. If they were really in the boundary-breaking talisman tunnel just now, they wouldn't have been able to escape the heaven god's attack. After all, the boundary-breaking talisman couldn't take them out of the Big Dipper Star region in a short period of time. The moment the boundary-breaking talisman was activated, Su Yan directly left the space of the talisman. He was the Big Dipper Supreme and could fuse with the source of the star region. Moreover, with the broken cauldron suppressing them, even the divine king couldn't find them. That old bastard, he really wants to target us. He wants to take advantage of the moment when we leave Hokuto to make a move. Bao Kai and the others were incomparably angry. If it were before, Han Jinyuan would really have to consider the consequences. But now that Su Yin was severely injured, they believed that Su Yin wouldn't be able to stand. Therefore, they decided to suppress him and hand him over to the Ancestral Hall. Should we spread the news and ask the experts of the Zong clan to kill him? Tensor spat out. He was well aware that a year ago, a group of old experts of the burial realm had bathed the starry sky road in blood, leading to endless slaughter. The Ancestral Hall and the Dark Underworld race had both suffered heavy losses. If the burial realm learned of the situation here, they would definitely come out to avenge Su Yin. No! Su Yin shook his head and indifferently said, I have a personal grudge with Han Jinyuan. Once the news spreads, the Ancestral Hall will most likely target Hokuto. No matter what, we can't bring disaster here. That's true. If it weren't for them, you wouldn't have been able to leave the Divine Mountain Range so easily. What should we do next? A Yuan said anxiously. Su Yan's injuries were too severe. His body was rotting. If it weren't for the divine medicine essence flowing through his body, Su Yan's condition would have been much worse. Come with me. We're going to the Big Dipper now. Su Yan controlled the broken cauldron and carefully left the starry sky. He wanted to find the two fish kings in the Yin-Yang River and extract their source strength to nourish his injured body. It wasn't far from here to the Big Dipper. Even when they passed by the desolate mountain range, Yi Yuan explained their experiences during this period. What made Su Yin astonished was that they had moved the Ox village to the Zhang family village. Daesong Yo's talent is too strong. Although he's still a child, he's as strong as a barbaric dragon. Not only is his physique special, but it's also very powerful. Tensor said with a smile. During the migration, they had also imparted many divine abilities and secret arts to Daesong Yo to help him grow. Daesong Yo's bloodline power was extremely strong, and even his talent was exceptional. There was a lot of room for growth in the future. Once he reached adulthood, he would definitely be a famous young giant. Bao Kai spat out a golden iron ox stone statue. The stone statue was simple and unadorned. It had shrunk into a small golden iron ox seal and was filled with a heavy and terrifying aura. Back then, they had encountered a massacre in the Divine Mountain Range. If they hadn't grasped the stone statue at the crucial moment, the consequences would have been unimaginable. But after a series of battles, the stone statue had killed a large number of experts from the demon realm. However, the divine power contained within the stone statue had been greatly reduced. Even so, its power was still extremely strong. This thing can withstand the divine king. Bao Kai gritted his teeth and said, It's a pity that the consumption of divine power is too great. I can't use it too many times. If it wasn't for that old fogey Han Jinyuan controlling the Big Dipper Bell, I would have used the stone statue to kill him. This stone statue's killing power was unparalleled. Even gods couldn't withstand it. Baokai had once used this stone statue to kill a few demon gods from the demon realm. It couldn't be helped. The influence of the banners of demons on the demon realm was too great. Now, the entire demon realm was searching for bout-sized tracks. They had been hiding all the way to the Big Dipper Star region and had gradually shaken off their pursuit. Just as Su Yan was about to reach the entrance of the Big Dipper Star, a loud roar came from the distant starry sky. The gods were enraged. Their chi and blood surged and illuminated the starry sky. Han Jinyuan was flustered and exasperated. He was so angry that his hair stood on end. He had used a Herculean effort to open the boundary-breaking talisman tunnel, but Su Yan had already disappeared. "You bastards, you won't be able to escape." Han Jinyuan's eyes were filled with resentment. He really didn't expect that Su Yan would be able to escape. How could he, a dignified god, endure this? The power of a god spread out from Han Jinyuan's body. It was very terrifying and suppressed the vast starry sky. He said coldly, "And you are already injured to this extent. There's no way you can survive. You want to find a beautiful place to slowly wait for death. That's impossible. I will definitely find you and collect your corpse." Star Element and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Su Yan had escaped, and they couldn't find any trace of him. When a Star-Lord comes out of seclusion, how should I explain this to him? Could it be that he really incurred the jealousy of the heavens? Why did he have to undergo a myriad of tribulations? Could it be that the heavens can't tolerate Su Yan? Tao Xingyang sighed. Su Yan's injuries were too severe. Without the help of divine medicine, it would be very difficult for him to survive. What exactly happened in Hokuto? Why did Han Jinyuan, whose lifespan is about to dry up, come out of seclusion? Who was he targeting just now? Everyone in the world was paying attention to this matter, and it caused an uproar. There were even people who couldn't help but guess if it was Su Yan. However, this thought was too shocking. If the one who was undergoing the tribulation was really Su Yan, could it be that a supreme being of a generation had fallen under the heavenly tribulation? Many people felt that it couldn't be Su Yan. He couldn't be so strong, even if he had killed the son of a supreme being. "Old thing, you still want to collect my corpse? I definitely won't spare you." Su Yan's eyes flashed with coldness. They had crossed over to the Big Dipper. Ever since the Big Dipper Supreme Being had a master, a large group of foreign experts had left the Big Dipper. "Big Dipper, we're here again." Yuan sighed. Back then, they were still small cultivators of the Tao realm. Now, they were already great Tao realm experts. Over 10 years had passed. "Su Yan, what are we doing here?" "Right now, your top priority is to recuperate. If there's really no other choice, we could go look for the Starry Sky King beasts. With our status and resources, we should be able to exchange for a sacred healing item." Tensor pondered for a while and said, "Time is of the essence. We have to take the risk, even if it's necessary. There's no hurry. There's a fortune that we want to take away." Su Yan smiled. Although the injuries on his body were severe, with them brothers together, Su Yan felt very at ease. He felt that no matter how big the storm was, they would be able to get through it. "What did you say? 2 fish kings that are as big as mountains?" The Baokai shuddered and immediately stood up, its big ears perked up in shock. Chapter 617. Su Yan and the rest moved in the dark and approached Big Dipper City. Big Dipper City was now under Hokuto's control. Even the entrance to the dragon's lair was under Hokuto's control. Big Dipper City was also abuzz with discussions. Many experts had rushed back to Hokuto. The news of the heavenly gods incident had alarmed all the major families. They all wanted to know what had happened. "Let's go to the dragon's lair." With Su Yan's methods, it was too easy for him to sneak into the dragon's lair. There was no trace of anyone inside. After all, the fortune had already been taken away. The Yin-Yang Galaxy had been patrolled many times by the experts of various races, but no other treasures were found. Su Yan was really worried. Would the Fish Kings be taken away? If such a fortune was really taken away, it probably wouldn't be leaked out. After all, the size of the 2 Fish Kings was still unforgettable to Su Yan. Their value was enough to make the Almighty tremble. He was now anxiously hoping for the life essence of the fish kings to nourish his injured body. The yin-yang fish, according to ancient legends, can only be nurtured in a special environment. The yin-yang fish can strengthen the human body's potential, while the yang fish can replenish the human body's qi and blood. It's a type of great tonic. It's very expensive and expensive. That's right. The bigger the fish, the stronger the effect. This is an extremely rare treasure. If we can really find the fish kings, then we'll be rich. Raising 2 fish kings to lay eggs is an inexhaustible wealth. Kid, why do I feel that this is unreliable? Is there really a fish king? Baokai didn't believe in heresy. They were squatting in the broken cauldron and had already escaped into the extreme Yin River. I won't joke with my life, but are the yin-yang fish still here? That's a problem. Suyin was looking forward to the dragon totem finding traces of the fish kings. In the yin-yang galaxy, it was relatively easy for the yin-yang fish to hide. Only the dragon totem could quickly dig out the yin-yang fish. Buzz! Suyan's broken body glowed. He had eaten many healing items that could temporarily stabilize his injured body. However, these medicines couldn't help Suyan's injuries. He was very anxious. He knew that the longer his injuries were delayed, the more disadvantageous it was for Suyan. The broken cauldron sank. In the pitch-black river, the cauldron seemed simple. The deeper it went, the heavier the yin qi became. However, the river was very quiet. There was not a single living creature. Even the dragon totem was very quiet. This made Suyin very surprised and confused. Could it be that the yin-yang fish had all been captured by outsiders? He didn't think it was possible. He knew that, and could use the powers could use. Powers could use power was, and S was. Oh, right. Did you guys meet Tai Gongji? Suyin asked. He had forgotten about Tai Gongji in the yin-yang galaxy. Baokai and the others were confused. How could they forget about Tai Gongji? He was sleeping in the yin-yang remnant meridians. Then, they worked together to deal with the ancestral palace. After that, the godly mountain range changed. Oh no, Yuan smiled bitterly. I forgot about Tai Gongji. Could he have been swallowed by the demon fog? Tensor and the others were stunned. It was very possible. That's not possible, right? Suyan's expression changed. Tai Gongji was very mysterious. When he fell into the demon fog for the first time, Suyin thought he was done for. It was Tai Gongji who brought Suyin to Heaven Mountain. Suyin didn't know what happened in the process, but Tai Gongji was a mysterious creature. He must know a lot about history. He felt that Tai Gongji wouldn't have been killed by the demon fog. It would be great if Tai Gongji was here. He should be familiar with the yin-yang fish. Suyin frowned. When the yin-yang fish kings fought, the yin-yang qi blended and created a yin-yang tunnel. This caused Suyin to escape into the underground palace. But was the underground palace still there? Keep looking. Suyin scratched his head and continued to drive the broken cauldron to search in the yin-yang galaxy. Soon, they reached the bottom of the extreme Yin River and saw a golden yang river. Suyan's heart was heavy. He didn't find a single extreme yang fish in the extreme Yin River. This is troublesome. Suyan's breathing was rapid. If he couldn't find a single one, he had to find something to treat his injuries. Otherwise, Suyan's injuries would be fatal. Time flew by. Just like that, a day passed. Suyin was anxious and uneasy. During this time, he absorbed a lot of healing items. However, Suyin felt that he couldn't hold on any longer. He couldn't even find the location of the yin-yang tunnel. In short, there wasn't a single yin-yang fish in the yin-yang galaxy. Suyan's hope was about to be extinguished. He struggled in his heart. Was this fate? Cough! He coughed violently. Blood flowed out his mouth. His body was already full of holes and looked like it was about to collapse. Suyin was in so much pain that he wanted to die. He clenched his fists and tried to suppress the injuries on his body. He resisted the urge to faint and let out a painful growl. This scene made Baokai and the others pale. Suyan's situation was very dangerous. He couldn't bear the pain anymore. Yuan immediately roared. It's hopeless. We can't find the yin-yang fish at all. Let's hurry up and leave. I think we should find the young dragon king, the Starry Sky Beast King, or Zixioning. They calculated that they could only trust these three friends. Or they could go to the Z-Way segmentum again and find Yun. It's too dangerous to find Yun and Zixioning. Moreover, it's not easy to find them. Bao Kai thought and said in a low voice, "There's still some hope for the Starry Beast King. However, it's not easy to find the Starry Beast King's nest. Su Yin can't hold on for much longer." "Don't worry about me." Su Yin lay in the broken cauldron and muttered to himself, "Find a way to find our people. Tell them that their home is in danger." Originally, Su Yin didn't want to say it. Now that they knew, there was nothing they could do. They could only let Yi Yuan and Bao Kai worry for nothing. However, the situation was serious. Su Yin had to say it now. He was afraid that he would really die and be buried in the outer realm. He could only say it in advance. "What? That guy is still alive? The Ancestral Hall has already sent people to find him." Yi Yuan's expression changed. If the Earth was exposed and the Ancestral Hall found the approximate coordinates, then it would be a disaster for the later progenitor. Perhaps the Ancestral Hall could lure the people of the burial region out through the later progenitor. If that was the case, would the burial region still have any hope? This was a matter of genocide. Yi Yuan's eyes turned red. He clenched his fists and veins popped out all over his body. If that's really the case, the consequences will be unimaginable. Yi Yuan's eyes turned red. It was very likely that they would be wiped out in one fell swoop. Then, the countless years of perseverance and the struggle of the older generation would be wasted and destroyed. Roar! Bao Kai let out a manic roar. His black and white fur stood on end as he roared in a low voice. "Let's go to the Fiend Realm and contact the Supreme Being's bloodline back then. We'll ask for the Divine Medicine's essence." "No." Su Yin grabbed Bao Cai's neck with his blood-stained hand and hurriedly said, "The risk is too great. You have to survive and obtain all the inheritances of the Banners of Demons in the future. Only then will you be qualified to fight against the Ancestral Hall. You can't take the risk for me. It's not worth it now." "What nonsense are you talking about? We three brothers came together. None of us can be lost. If we die, we die together. If we live together." Yi Yuan reprimanded loudly and shouted, "The most direct way now is to find Zixioning. It won't be difficult to find her. After all, with her power, she can definitely obtain the sacred healing item. We're rich now and don't lack money. We must find a way to go back. We can't waste our time here." Tensor was silent. The burial region had experienced too much bloodshed. Su Yin and the others all wanted to do something for their own clan. Yi Yuan felt that whether it was Su Yin or Bao Kai, they all had terrifying potential. There was hope for them to become experts among experts in the future. One was in charge of the Banners of Demons, and the other was in charge of the Mother Scripture. If both of them died, would the burial region still have any hope? Just as they were arguing, Su Yin suddenly became highly vigilant. He secretly hid the broken cauldron in the space and said in a low voice, "Stop talking. Someone is coming. It's a big guy. Calm down and don't let his aura leak out." "Who is it? Could it be the expert who captured King Puyu?" Zhang Liang was stunned. He tried to sense it carefully, but he couldn't find anything wrong. "I don't know." Su Yin shook his head slightly. He was also very vigilant. An expert who could silently sneak and was not simple. After all, he was the Big Dipper Supreme. He knew the origin of the Big Dipper star field very well. He sensed a huge aura above the extreme Yin River. The other party was deliberately concealing it. If it wasn't for Su Yin obtaining the Big Dipper Great Tao imprint and having an extraordinary understanding of heaven and earth, Su Yin wouldn't have noticed it. This made Su Yin break out in cold sweat. The other party's concealment method was too brilliant. If they didn't notice in advance and silently approach them, the consequences would be too severe. The extreme Yin River was very quiet. This place was affecting their vision. The broken cauldron and the space merged into one. Su Yin closed his eyes inside the cauldron. He sensed that the huge shadow with the huge aura was rapidly approaching below. This made Su Yin very surprised. What was the purpose of dealing with it? "It's coming." Suyin shouted fiercely. Bao Kai and the others opened their eyes wide and looked outside the broken cauldron. However, they were puzzled. They couldn't see anything different. I say, Suyin can't be having terminal lucidity and looking back at himself, right? Bao Kai scratched his big round head and muttered to Yuan with panda eyes. Yuan glared fiercely at Bao Kai. Suyin wasn't so weak that he couldn't even withstand this little bit of time. After all, his physical body was too strong. There's also a strand of divine medicine essence in his body that was keeping him alive. He wouldn't be in danger for a short period of time. Teacher Yuan, take this. Suyin took out the golden bow and silver force armor. With the help of these two treasures, Yuan's combat power should be able to reach the level of a god. Moreover, he also had the Divine King's weapon and the golden bow to protect him. He was armed to the teeth. Is he really making arrangements for his death? Bao Kai had an ominous feeling. Its big ears twitched. At this moment, Suyin controlled the broken cauldron and followed the huge shadow. Tensor and the others could only wait patiently. When this person sank to the deepest part of the Extreme Yin River and was about to cross the Extreme Yang River, a sinister aura faintly spread out from the pitch-black space. Bao Kai suddenly stood up. He took out the banners of demons and wanted to suppress it directly. There's really someone. Yuan took out the Divine King's weapon. Tensor also bent his body. He could explode with his strongest combat power in an instant. He also held the dark heavenly blade. Don't act rashly. This is a big fish. Chapter 6:18. Shueguan. Tensor was shocked. The battle between Suyin and Shueguan that year was also the battle where Suyin established his status as a young supreme. That battle was truly earth-shattering and belonged to the pinnacle of the younger generation. Suyin and Shueguan both gave it their all and fought with all their strength. Although more than 2 years had passed, the battle between him and Shueguan was still frequently discussed. Even Suyin's battle prowess was regarded as a goal by the young kings of the various pinnacle races. It was said that the battle between Suyin and Shueguan was recorded in a spatial jade slip made by the Merchant Union. Although the spatial jade slip couldn't bear the complete battle, and the image was very blurry, every spatial jade slip was sold for an extremely high price. Even now, there was still a shortage of supply. This undoubtedly showed that the impact of the battle that year was too great. It subverted many people's understanding of the battle prowess of the younger generation, and even allowed them to understand the tyrannical strength of the heavenly supremes. In any case, Shueguan had already fallen, and Suyin was also in a state of disappearance in the universe. Now, Suyin's words made their hearts tremble. An expert related to Shueguan had appeared in the Yin-Yang galaxy. How could they not be scared? Could it be? Tensor frowned fiercely. He thought of something. Perhaps Suyin had seen Shueguan's Tao Protector. They had also seen it that year. The person behind Shueguan had appeared. Could it be the leader of the Crepe Myrtle sect? This aura is too sinister. It gives me a very ominous feeling. Be careful. Bao Kai, don't act rashly, Yuan said in a deep voice. He could feel that the aura in front of them was as sinister as purgatory. It was abnormally terrifying and cold, and it made their skin and bones shiver. It was as if they had fallen into purgatory. It's definitely a big guy. Bao Kai was very sure. Even the broken cauldron couldn't defend against it. Suyin was also very surprised. Shueguan's protectors didn't come to settle the score with him at the moment of Shueguan's death. They didn't even reveal the slightest bit of information. This made Suyin feel that this organization was too mysterious and amazing. Buzz. Suddenly, not too far away from the broken cauldron, it was as if a black sun had exploded, creating a scene of destruction. Billowing black fog seeped out from the space, as if the space was bleeding. Black blood flowed out, and the crushed space exploded. Under the fearful gazes of Suyin and the others, there was a shadow in the space of destruction. It was like a ghost, and the aura it emitted was extremely sinister and sinister. Moreover, a black chain was revolving around this black, ghostly shadow. The sound it emitted was like a demonic sound transmitted from the hell, and it made their hair stand on end. It was extremely horrifying. In the billowing demonic fog, the black shadow was erratic. They couldn't see its specific appearance, but its scarlet eyes were like two blood-red crescent moons. Its aura was extremely sinister. Damn, what the hell is this thing? It looks too sinister. Bao Kai felt his scalp go numb. This ghostly figure was too sinister. It didn't seem like a living creature, but more like a dead substance that materialized in space. If it wasn't for the broken cauldron concealing them, they would definitely have been discovered by the other party. Tenser's expression became serious. Back then, Shueguan's protectors had attacked before, and they were in a similar form. He suspected that this was Shueguan's protector, but what was this person doing here? They couldn't even tell what race this creature was from, or perhaps it was from a very special race. A power that can transform Shueguan's yin-yang physique into a dual sovereign physique. TSK. Just think about it, and you'll know how terrifying and mysterious it is. Even after the event, they didn't have the slightest intention of revenge. A bone-chilling light flashed through Yi Yuan's eyes. He felt that the waters here were too deep. There were many unknown things in the universe. Bao Kai and the others especially felt the same way. Back then, the mysterious sea of bones, the bronze weapon tree they encountered, and the demonic foggy world that was suppressed under the great Dao mountain made them tremble in fear. They always felt that the universe was mysterious and vast, and it was not as simple as people thought. There were unknown mysteries hidden in it. The stronger one's cultivation, the more secrets one would know. Perhaps one day, when they were strong enough, they would be able to see through the myriad realms and understand the mysteries of the universe. Su Yin frowned and took out a black chain. He carefully compared it with the black chain controlled by the mysterious creature and found that the two were very similar. However, he didn't know how to control the black chain. Instead, under the control of the mysterious creature, the black chain was entwined with black fog, and strange black symbols faintly appeared. What kind of treasure is this? Bao Kai held the black chain in its claws and carefully examined it, but couldn't tell what it was. Su Yin pondered and said, "Back then, we found Iron Rooster in the Yin-Yang Celestial River, and we also found a black chain in the underground palace. I keep feeling that there's some connection between them. If we can find Iron Rooster, we should be able to figure out their origins. I feel that this black chain is making my primordial spirit throb, and I have a feeling that it's about to collapse. Maybe it's a primordial spirit treasure." While they were discussing and communicating, the mysterious black creature took out a small blood-red altar. Altar? What does it want? Was it the one who took the Fish King? They were very puzzled, and they couldn't act rashly. After all, they didn't know anything and needed to understand what happened. Wong. The small blood-red altar lit up, and a bloody light suddenly surged. This altar was very special, and it had a very ancient power of time and space. It was like a space-time altar. Su Yin saw the black creature sitting cross-legged on the small blood-red altar. Rooney's old house. He seemed to be reciting some mysterious words. Su Yin and the others couldn't hear it, but Su Yan's heart was trembling. Why did he feel that this ancient language was similar to the words he had heard in the Ultimate Land when he was reprimanding Almighties? Could it be an ancient language, so ancient that people have forgotten about it? This organization is too mysterious. I wonder what they're doing. Could they have captured the Fish King and taken it away? Su Yan's heart was filled with shock. This matter was too shocking. As the mysterious creature recited the ancient language, the small blood-red altar lit up and enlarged, emitting the ancient language. As time passed, the syllables became louder and louder. In the end, the sound was transmitted with a force that could shake the stars in the 9 heavens. Su Yin and the others were very shocked. The world in front of them had changed. When the blood altar erupted to the extreme, it changed, as if it had turned into a world of yin and yang. This was because the blood altar was rather yang and terrifying, and the mysterious creature's aura was rather cold. When the two auras combined and collided violently and burned to the extreme, a blurry and ancient yin-yang cave slowly opened. "Look, There's a cave within a cave. Balkai screamed. They were all shocked. This matter had overturned their thinking. They didn't realize that there was another passage here. It did exist now, and Su Yin felt that this ancient passage was very similar to the Yin Yang cave opened when the Yin Yang fish king collided. When they looked into the cave's world, they felt like their souls were being sucked away. This was because the world in the cave was boundlessly grand and vast, with no end in sight. It was like a space-time tunnel that led to the other end of the universe, gushing with the fluctuations of the vast river of time from near to far. Where did this Yin Yang cave lead to? Bao Kai and the others were stunned. They realized that when the Yin Yang cave opened and burned to the extreme, they could faintly see a Yin Yang sky river flowing at the other end. The two Yin Yang sky rivers stood opposite each other, as if they could eventually converge and combine to form a larger Yin Yang river. Are there traces of the Yin Yang fish? Su Yin was pleasantly surprised because the dragon totem was burning fiercely. He carefully sensed the dragon totem's temperature and realized that it was similar to the temperature of the Yin Yang fish. Su Yin couldn't resist the urge to rush into the Yin Yang cave. "Look, he's going in," Tensor exclaimed. He saw the mysterious creature and the small, blood-red altar fall into the Yin Yang tunnel. "Let's go in too." Yuan instantly made a judgment, feeling that there should be something on the other end. However, just as they made the decision, their expressions changed instantly. The Yin Yang cave had just opened, but it quickly turned blurry. The entrance seemed to not exist as it began to dissipate amidst the blur. The space in front also returned to its original state. Bao Kai ran out and struck the space with its claws. It expressed its shock. Space was still space. They had spent a lot of effort, but failed to discover what was hidden in the space. Even space could be shattered. Yuan could penetrate it with the Divine King's weapon. What's going on? Perhaps the energy and matter involved is extremely shocking. Only an expert can explain it clearly. Could it be that your Yin Yang fish king swam into another cave through the same entrance? They conversed here and felt that the possibility was very high. They planned to stay here and continue waiting. When the time came, they would use De Li's chi to suppress the black creature that had escaped and dig out the secrets inside. However, they ignored time. They waited here for an entire day. There was no fluctuation in the space. Even on the second day, Su Yin was on the verge of collapsing. His face was even paler, devoid of color, and he was drowsy. Su Yin's body was filled with the essence of the divine medicine. Like a thread, it could be extinguished at any time. "Let's go." Yuan and the others could not wait any longer. They could not go on like this. Even what was on the other end of the Yin Yang cave was still unknown. Just as they were about to leave the Yin Yang cave again, Su Yin took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Someone else is coming." They waited with unease and anticipation. The result surprised them. Another black creature came. It was very similar to the previous one. When he took out the small blood-colored altar, Bao Kai said solemnly, "The location he opened is different from the previous one. Why do I feel like we've encountered something big? It's like I've seen something terrifying and mysterious. Perhaps we've encountered an incredible organization. No matter what, when he opens the Yin Yang cave, we'll suppress him and cross to the other end of the Yin Yang cave." They conversed. Time was running out. They had to take the risk. They knew that the divine medicine was too precious. Even if they found Zi Xioning or the Divine King to help them, it would be extremely difficult to obtain the divine medicine. Chapter 619. Inside the broken cauldron, Yuan and the others were waiting to use all their power in one go to ensure that nothing would go wrong during the ambush. Ambushed a deity. Su Yin was rather nervous. Unfortunately, his injuries were too severe to be of much help. It was extremely difficult for a Virtue Realm expert to attack a deity. Even if they had the help of secret treasures, it was still not that easy. There was always the risk of death. Gulu. The mysterious ancient language was transmitted. In the land of the extreme Yin River, the mysterious black creature sat cross-legged on a small blood-colored altar. The altar burned fiercely. As the black creature chanted the ancient language faster and faster, the light that erupted from the blood altar also became brighter and brighter. This was like a special ritual and also like an ancient sacrificial ritual. Overall, in their eyes, it was rather evil and mysterious. Moreover, the syllables of the ancient language became more and more profound and grand. They collided with the space-time in front of them, as if they were touching something hidden in the space-time. The ancient language chanted by the mysterious creature was like the key to opening the space-time password. In short, it was extremely evil. Baokai and the others paid close attention. In the end, they could confirm that the method to find Inyan Cave was based on this mysterious ancient language. However, they could not understand it and could not decipher its content. Boom! The syllables continued to rumble. Indeed, the space-time in front of them was like boiling water, rolling and rippling as energy ripples extended. This ancient language contained an extremely mysterious power. It was like a demonic sound transmitted from hell, penetrating deep into one's soul. It's about to open. Yuan was the first to step forward. The silver force armor awakened. He was like a sleeping silver deity, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. The silver force armor pushed Yuan's combat strength to the level of a silver deity. Bam! Suddenly, the space-time in front of them trembled violently. It was as if an ancient yin-yang secret door had started to appear in a blur. A magnificent yin-yang cave appeared, emitting a vast aura of time and space as if it led to the other end of the world. Of course, that was not all. The aura of the small blood-colored altar and the black creature also surged out. It was as if they had struck out with the power of yin and yang, penetrating yin-yang cave and opening up an ancient passageway. Attack! Yuan pounced like a cheetah. Now that the path had been revealed, it was possible to cross into the inner region. However, they had no idea how long the path would last. In any case, they had to kill this mysterious creature before they could cross into the inner region. TSK, TSK. The black creature with a sinister aura let out a sinister laugh. He was moving towards Inyan Cave, but just as he was about to reach it, the space behind him exploded. Silver light filled the sky. Kill! Yuan charged out, her hair dancing in the wind. She was like a martial arts god, wielding a blood-colored spear. The slumbering divine king's weapon had awakened. That incomparably terrifying strength began to blast towards the black creatures. Boom! The entire extreme Yin River was trembling. Yuan's battle prowess was strong enough, but the black creature was a deity. Faced with the sudden attack, black fog surged out of its erratic body. It was as if it had turned into a stretch of purgatory. It was sinister and ferocious, emitting a deafening demonic sound. In an instant, Yuan's figure trembled violently while his heart showed signs of collapsing. It was even to the extent that the blood-red spear he brandished missed its target. This caused him to turn pale with astonishment, because he felt great terror, as if his heart was being crushed. The next moment, Yuan let out a painful cry. His eyes were about to split open. In the dark purgatory he was facing, a pair of blood-colored eyes opened. They were like real blood-colored moons, emitting a bloody light. It shone so brightly that Yuan's eyes were bleeding. What was this? Yuan had the battle prowess of a deity, but when faced with a deity, he was like a child with only strength. It was very difficult for him to cause any substantial damage to a deity. This gave them a deeper understanding of deities. However, these were not their only killing moves. The most powerful one was bout-sized banners of demons. Watch me. Just as the black creature was about to kill Yuan, Baokai streaked across the sky. Its snow-white claws waved an ancient flag. The flag fluttered loudly, and a terrifying aura of 10,000 demons surged forth. It was as if 10,000 layers of the universe had descended from the sky. The black creature trembled, and the dark creature within let out a sharp cry. It was as if an evil spirit had gone mad. It erupted with its most powerful strength to resist the banners of demons. Tensor rushed out. He brandished the black sword embryo and furiously slashed at the black creature. A great battle broke out, just like that. The banners of demons bombarded the limitless purgatory until more than half of the black fog collapsed. It had to be said that the banners of demons were powerful. They were attacking the black creature until its body and soul were about to be destroyed. And he let out a sharp cry like a wild beast. A black chain strangely appeared, as if a black poisonous snake had awakened. What made Su Yan's expression turn ugly was that Bao Kai and the other two let out painful cries in unison. The black chain contained a terrifying demonic power. It was like a poisonous snake. They all felt a great fear, as if their souls were about to fall and explode into pieces. With their spiritual willpower, the weapons they were holding were about to leave their hands. Their souls were about to be extracted from their bodies and refined into ashes. This made them turn pale with fright. This black chain was too evil. They couldn't block it, and even their primordial spirits were about to be melted. Dong dong. All of a sudden, Buddhist light shone in all directions. A majestic Buddha appeared in the sky, as if it was sitting cross-legged in the space-time of the future. It chanted Buddhist words one after another, and its aura was vast and terrifying. It shook the purgatory world until it trembled. Su Yin frantically circulated the Sutra of Future. His primordial spirit that was about to enter the Tao integration realm was resplendent and blazing. It was as if a great power was transmitted from the future. It shook toward the primordial spirit of the black creature. In a short period of time, Bao Kai and the others regained their clarity of mind. They instantly charged forward and attacked the black purgatory. They used their killing techniques to bombard the black creature's body. In a single exchange, the banners of demons, blood spear, and the black sword embryo attacked. So what if it was a deity? Its body was also blown apart. Su Yin frowned slightly. The blown-up body had no blood. It was like a battle body formed from a combination of substances. What was this? Damn it, I was scared to death. It was too dangerous. His primordial spirit is extremely strong. Only a Tao integration realm primordial spirit can contend against it. Almost all deities have cultivated such primordial spirits. On the contrary, there are very few Tao integration realm experts. Bao Cai's hair was covered in cold sweat. It was too dangerous just now. They could have died if they were not careful. Yi Yuan and the others were pale. It was indeed very dangerous just now. Fortunately, Su Yin acted in time. However, just as the three of them turned around and were about to escape into the broken cauldron and cross to Yin Yang Cave, the shattered darkness reformed. A black shadow that had been blown apart was reformed. It strangely appeared behind Bao Kai and the others. It smiled eerily. The black light that overflowed from its body made the three of them shiver. Their bodies were about to shatter, and blood began to spur out of their pores. Oh no! Tensor and the others were shocked. His body was clearly shattered, but it was healing. Was this a method to revive the dead? The black creature even used its Tao integration realm primordial spirit to shake off the pressure from Su Yan's Sutra of the Future. The backlash caused Su Yan's primordial spirit to tremble. This made Su Yin turn pale with fright. Revival from the dead? Or was it because his heavenly art was special? Die. The black creature revealed a cruel killing intent. The divine power in its body swept out. Yi Yuan and the others were struck by lightning. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground one after another. After all, it was too sudden. They had no time to resist. Neither human nor ghost. I'll send you on your way. Su Yan's primordial spirit suddenly leaped out and transformed into a golden Su Yin. It was awe-inspiring. His divine eyes were like lightning. Taoism and Buddhism were one. With a loud roar, the void split apart. His battle aura surged as if he was standing in the future and waving his fist. Dong! Su Yan's punch was filled with the supreme, purifying power of Buddhism. He even used the profound meaning of the fist of time. This also made it so that in a short period of time, his fist smashed into the black creature's sea of consciousness indiscriminately. This fist smashed into the black creature's primordial spirit until it trembled, releasing a roar of pain. This was an indiscriminate attack. In addition, Su Yan's primordial spirit possessed the power of Buddhism that could purify evil substances. Therefore, the black creature was in extreme pain. Kill! Su Yan's primordial spirit shouted loudly. It was as if he had transformed into a Buddhist fighting Buddha. Buddhist light illuminated everything as he blasted out punch after punch. He was full of power. He bombarded the black creature's primordial spirit until it began to split apart. After all, Su Yan cultivated the Sutra of the Future and grasped the sinister divine ability, Fist of Time. He struck the black creature's primordial spirit until it grew dimmer and dimmer. Su Yan felt that his own primordial spirit's power was about to melt the black creature's primordial spirit. The black creature released an angry voice. Ants, do you know what you are doing? You even dare to spy on the Yin-Yang Road. Ants. He expressed his anger. He had seen through Su Yan's intentions. Otherwise, how would these juniors dare to attack a deity? Ants, I'll kill you all the same. Tensor and the others were furious. They dragged their injured bodies and charged in. They used their greatest power to tear apart the black purgatory that was being reconstructed. A group of ants. The black creature was furious. It roared continuously. It found Su Yan's actions inconceivable. They were too daring. If news of this got out, it would scare everyone to death. Bam! Su Yan unleashed his strongest attack. Without a word, he bombarded the black creature and shattered its remnant soul. Moreover, its physical body exploded once again. It could be said that its body and soul were destroyed. I don't believe it can be revived. Bao Kai panted heavily. He had suffered too much just now and was almost killed by this evil spirit. He never expected its primordial spirit to be so powerful. On the contrary, this creature's physical body wasn't strong. If it was a powerful deity, it would be too difficult to kill it. Perhaps when it suddenly revived just now, it could take advantage of Bao Kai and the others not paying attention and kill them all in one move. It was too dangerous to fight a deity. Su Yan's primordial spirit was greatly damaged. If this black creature could recover, he could only use bout-sized treasures. The Yin-Yang cave is about to disperse. Yuan roared fiercely. Hurry up and go in. Otherwise, we won't have a chance. Su Yan nodded and returned his primordial spirit. The broken cauldron flew over and sucked the three of them in. Chapter 620. The broken cauldron tore through the air and crashed into the rapidly disappearing Yin-Yang cave. When it crashed into the cauldron, it was as though it had rushed into a space-time tunnel. The broken cauldron shook violently, as though it had encountered the suppression of a space-time storm. However, with the mysterious and special nature of the broken cauldron, this space-time force could not stop it. This is like a space-time tunnel. Are we going to enter another starry sky through the space-time tunnel? Tensor said in surprise. I really don't know what this organization does. It's difficult to verify the age of the Yin-Yang Sky River, but how can the two be connected? I even feel that the other side is also a Yin-Yang Sky River. All of this was too mysterious and inconceivable. However, Su Yan, who had seen Sky Mountain and even crossed from Sky Mountain to the Z-Way segmentum, did not feel too shocked. However, he still felt that this organization was powerful and mysterious. First of all, how was the Yin-Yang Sky River born? Who set up the Yin-Yang Cave? There were even two Yin-Yang caves here. Could they lead to different regions? It was terrifying to think about. They felt that there was a great secret behind all of this. It was so mysterious that even Hokuto did not understand it. Su Yan believed that this mysterious organization was the expert behind Shueguan. However, they had not come to settle the score with him despite their mystery and power. This made Su Yan somewhat suspicious. He was filled with curiosity about this organization. He felt that they had a great background and perhaps did not care about Shueguan's life or death. Look, the broken cauldron was very fast. It rushed to the end of the tunnel like a celestial body. This tunnel was like a spatial wormhole that traversed space-time and led to an unknown region. When it approached, Su Yan and company were alarmed because they saw the vast yin-yang river flowing. When they reached the end and were about to cross into another space, they were stunned by the scene before them. The extreme yin river and extreme yang river here were two magnificent and grand. Two ancient rivers have been flowing here for who knew how many years. One was as black as ink, as majestic as an underground river that ran through a vast territory. The other was dazzling and resplendent, as if it were a golden river flowing through the heavens. Su Yan had the mentality of following the Yangtze River and escaping into the vast ocean. The two rivers of yin and yang lay before their eyes, and they flowed with surging waves. They didn't merge with each other, and they were like two opposing rivers that surged and whistled while surging with an ancient and grand might that suppressed the universe. From the yin-yang galaxy of the Big Dipper, they entered an even grander yin-yang galaxy through the space-time tunnel. It had to be said that this was quite shocking. The two heavenly rivers seemed to flow within the cosmos, and they were also like two great waterfalls that fell down from outer space. They were mysterious and shocking. Mother asterisk her look, Tai Baokai was so excited that his entire body was trembling. He saw extreme yang fish leaping out of the Golden River one after another. This wasn't a single fish, but rather a school of them that soared into the air. Every single extreme yang fish seemed to be carved out of gold. They surged with golden multicolored light, and their brilliance was dazzling. They contained exuberant yang energy. Meanwhile, the opposing black celestial river suddenly became as black as ink. However, there were also schools of extreme yin fish leaping out of the river surface. Every single one of them was emitting boundless black divine radiance and surging with yin qi. Oh my God! Yuan was dumbfounded. What was this? This was simply a super treasure trove. After all, there were too many yin-yang fish. They danced in schools and leaped out of the river surface. This place was like a celestial land that hadn't been opened for millions of years. It had nurtured many, many rare treasures. The yin-yang fish was a limited resource. It could increase one's potential and strengthen one's qi and blood. This was an extremely rare species. Even in the distant era, when the cosmos was rich in resources, yin-yang fish were still extremely rare. But here, they could actually form schools. If news of this were spread, even the Almighty would lose their composure and kill their way over to seize this fortune. After all, this was too important for a tribe. It could nurture a large number of young cultivators with great potential. The tribe would also continue to prosper in the future and even reach a glorious realm. That Fish King couldn't have swum here along the yin-yang galaxy, right? Tai Baokai wondered. Tensor said in a deep voice, after the excitement, "It's also terrifying. This organization is too astonishing. They secretly control such a shocking amount of wealth. Don't forget, this is just another channel. There's another channel." Yuan was shocked. That was true. Perhaps there was another channel that was similar. But it was strange. Why didn't they collect the fortunes of the yin-yang fish? Could it be that they didn't nurture their disciples? Or perhaps they were still secretly plotting other fortunes and opportunities. I'm thinking, could there be other channels in this yin-yang galaxy? Su Yan's words caused Bao Kai and the others' expressions to change. After careful consideration, they felt that it was impossible. The fortunes here were already terrifying enough. If there really were other fortunes, how could the Peak tribe survive? No matter what, haha brothers, I won't die. Su Yan laughed excitedly. He was also coughing up blood. His injuries were getting worse, but would it be a problem for him to face these yin-yang fish? If he ate thousands of them, would he still have to worry about not being able to heal his injuries? Although the yin-yang fish wasn't a healing panacea, they were extremely nutritious. They could definitely replenish Su Yan's depleted foundation. They could even use these yin-yang fish to increase the foundation of the four brothers. Ha ha! Yuan and the others laughed heartily. Who wouldn't be excited about this opportunity? Who wouldn't be cheering and jumping for joy? Watch me. Bao Kai rushed over and brought out a large net. This net was woven from precious plants and was as hard as divine metal. It wasn't easy to fish out the yin-yang fish in the yin-yang galaxy. He had to use 120% of his strength. Wong! The green net shone brightly, radiating brilliant multicolored light in all directions. The moment it was thrown out, the net rapidly enlarged, enough to cover an entire mountain. This large net was thrown into the extreme Yang River, just like that. The moment it entered the river, the green net began to distort. It couldn't be helped. The pressure was too shocking. Bao Kai threw the net into the school of fish. When the green net fell, the school of fish was thrown into chaos. All kinds of terrifying light erupted. It was as if a group of suns had exploded. It was very shocking. The yin-yang fish had extremely strong battle prowess in the yin-yang galaxy. The battle prowess of a school of fish couldn't be ignored. This net slammed down fiercely and bound over a dozen yin-yang fish. These yin-yang fish shone and struggled to break free. This green net was about to be torn apart. This made Su Yin and the others shocked. This net was enough to bind great Dao realm experts, but now it was almost torn apart by over a dozen yin-yang fish. Fortunately, the fishing was successful. Over a dozen yin-yang fish were fished out, each of them overflowing with auspicious multicolored light and surging with yang qi. Ha ha ha! We've struck gold. Brother Su Yin can be saved. Loud laughter rang out from the riverbank. Tensor directly took out a large cauldron and placed all the yin-yang fish into it. He then took out spiritual spring water and prepared to boil a large pot of yin-yang fish soup. Right now, Su Yin needed great nourishment to nourish his crippled body. The yin-yang fish soup definitely had this effect. Dao fire burned in the cauldron. The lively yin-yang fish struggled fiercely, but under the refinement of the Dao fire, they couldn't hold on for long. Very soon, rare, treasured liquid was formed in the cauldron. The yin-yang fish turned into a golden liquid, and the yin-yang fish turned into a black liquid. The medicinal effects of these two rare, great nourishment medicines mixed together, gradually forming the yin-yang fish soup. Watch this beast god. The Bao Kai happily fished. He even took out a small fishing boat and sailed across the riverbank. He continuously cast his net, catching over a dozen yin-yang fish at a time. Soon, he caught over 100 yin-yang fish. The divine light in the cauldron surged, seething even more. What kind of concept was over 100 yin-yang fish? If news of this spread out, who knew how many people would be scared to death? Even deities would be scared out of their wits. Every pair of yin-yang fish would be sold for a sky-high price in an auction. It had excellent nourishing effects for the younger generation. As for the yin-yang fish soup refined from over 100 yin-yang fish, it was resplendent and burning fiercely. It was yin and yang, a product of creation. Yuan clicked his tongue in wonder. This is really a product of creation, and yin and yang as the furnace. Su Yin, if you enter now, you will definitely be able to recover and walk out full of energy. When the time comes, your combat strength might even be stronger. Su Yin was also excited. After delaying his recovery for so long, he could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Even Yi Yuan and the rest could use the effect of the yin-yang fish to continuously increase their potential and lay down a peerless foundation. This would be greatly beneficial to their future development. After all, the physical bodies of the Bao Kai trio were extremely strong. The yin-yang fish was extremely important to them. They could definitely eat and drink extravagantly. You guys be careful. I'll go in to recuperate first. I don't know how long I'll be in seclusion this time. Don't wander around for the time being. I'm really worried that there might be some evil spirit here. Su Yin reminded them worriedly. He then entered the large cauldron. The cauldron had already turned into liquid. Rather than calling it fish soup, it was more like a furnace of rare, treasured medicine. The moment he entered the cauldron, his body began to glow. His body, which was in extreme pain, was instantly soothed. The extreme yin fish's effects were mild and refreshing. It soothed the burning pain in Su Yan's body. Su Yan's body, which had deteriorated to the point of suffocating him, was replenished by the extreme yang fish. Yang qi evaporated, and his blood began to recover in all aspects. It was like a withered flower that had been nourished. His life was being restored. A path to survival had been opened. Ah, Su Yin let out a miserable cry. He was in too much pain. This was because his body was about to rot. Now he was using the strength of his recovery to reconstruct his rotting body. It was as if he was reshaping his human form. The process was excruciating. After all, this was equivalent to reshaping his body. He endured the pain and awakened his body. Only by receiving the nourishment of the yin-yang fish soup could he ensure that no accidents would occur during the recovery process. Hold on, Yuan and the others were worried. In fact, if it weren't for the essence of the Big Dipper divine medicine, Su Yin would not have been able to hold on until now. Now that he was reshaping his body, it was even more painful than being torn apart by 5 horses. I'm recovering. Brothers, I won't die. Su Yin roared with red eyes. His will was peerlessly strong. His body burned fiercely as he crazily absorbed the energy of the yin-yang fish soup. He reshaped his body and reconstructed his bones. His organs were shattered and needed to be reconstructed. This was extremely unbearable. With every breath that passed, Su Yin felt like he was falling into purgatory. When the pain reached its peak, Su Yin even forgot about it. This was because his spirit and will had already become numb. Even under the miraculous effects of the yin-yang fish soup, his pain began to lessen. His body, which was riddled with holes, emitted an aura of vitality that gradually strengthened. Success. Chapter 621. The Tao Cauldron glowed and gushed out with the tide of life. This Tao Cauldron was becoming more and more extraordinary. The mouth of the cauldron was like the sky as yang qi poured down. The legs of the cauldron sank into the ground as yin qi rose. The interior of the cauldron seemed to have formed a universe where yin and yang qi blended and gave birth to all living things. This was very much in line with Su Yan's current physical domain. The Inception Sutra, the beginning of all living things, explained the profound meaning behind the recovery of one's potential. Moreover, it was cultivated to the extent where one's body was like a universe. Su Yan's body was like a universe. Although it could be said that the universe was badly damaged with the nourishment of the yin and yang qi, his broken body began to recover at an increasingly rapid pace. Su Yan's body was already terrifying to begin with. This time, he had almost died for his injuries. Now, he had found a large number of yin and yang fish in the yin and yang river and boiled them into yin and yang fish soup. The divine energy contained within was extremely pure. Even the peak races couldn't afford such extravagant healing methods. This wasn't inferior to a divine medicine. The key was that yin and yang fish were too rare. Now that he had found so many, it would be of great help to Su Yan's injuries. Bang, bang, bang. The Baokai cast its net continuously and threw yin and yang fish into the Tao Cauldron. If the Divine King were to see this scene, he would feel terrible. After all, it was too extravagant. The yin and yang qi in the cauldron increased and continuously nourished Su Yan's injured body. His rotting body had already been reconstructed. Moreover, 3 days and 3 nights had passed. When the reconstruction was complete, his body began to crackle and rattle. Su Yan's pores spurted out blood foam, accompanied by broken bones and flesh. This was like the old bones that had fallen off after being smashed. After completing the reconstruction of his physical body had given birth to new flesh and blood. Su Yin is being reborn? Yuan had been observing the whole time, and this scene made him excited. Look, there are a lot of broken bones and flesh being squeezed out. New bones are growing out of the body, and the corporeal body is definitely stronger. What a great opportunity. That was a boundless myriad tribulation. Even Brother Su Yin survived it. Although he almost perished under the thunder tribulation, he has now risen from the ashes. From death to life, I reckon he has revealed an even more formidable life force and potential, which has led to a small transformation. Tensor said with a smile. Given Su Yan's physical body, a small-scale metamorphosis was already terrifying enough. After all, his physical body at the Great Tao Realm was too terrifying, capable of killing paragon physiques. This was especially so after receiving nourishment from the Big Dipper source energy. Su Yan's physical body would definitely become even stronger. It could be said that Su Yan had gathered the body of the great Tao. However, the body of the great Tao had been shattered during the catastrophe. Now, Su Yan's physical body had been reconstructed and transformed. Therefore, it was equivalent to Su Yan's own potential being raised to a higher level. Therefore, this was especially shocking. Su Yan's aura was still very weak and declining. That was because the losses were too great and the exhaustion was too severe. However, he had now survived the most dangerous juncture. The transformation this time was also very smooth and swift. Everything seemed to have come naturally. It was also because the yin-yang fish was strong enough. A large amount of the yin-yang fish had turned into liquid, providing nourishing medicinal effects for Su Yan's body, prompting Su Yan to complete the reconstruction of his physical body. His current physical body was equivalent to a new embryo. Su Yan's physical body shone, and his body hummed on its own. Although he looked very weak and declining, when he began to cultivate, his body seemed to have turned into a small sun. As he swallowed, the entire region sank into darkness. The essence of the yin-yang fish soup was rapidly reduced. It was as if he had eaten a great tonic. His declining physical body blazed countless times more, and the dried-up blood essence in his body rapidly strengthened and surged. It had to be said that this was extremely fast. Su Yan had already survived this calamity. Every time he breathed, the pores on his body would glow. When his chest rose and fell, the surrounding space would rumble. As he breathed, the entire region would tremble. His cultivation speed was too fast. Yuan hurriedly took out a large amount of Heaven's Essence stones to help Su Yan replenish the exhaustion in his body. After all, the yin-yang fish was an item that could increase one's potential. How could it replenish Su Yan's exhaustion? An almighty would be angered to death if they saw it. Furthermore, there weren't so many yin-yang fish for Su Yan to use. I'm going to take a walk in the depths. I have to capture all the yin-yang fish and take them away as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the experts of this organization come again, we will be exposed. When that happens, we will definitely have to run. Bao Kai shouted. Yuan had asked Tensor to stay here to protect Su Yan. He was prepared to join forces with Bao Kai to explore. You guys be careful. Tensor said, if you encounter an accident, retreat immediately. The creation here is too amazing. The more you take away, the more uneasy I will be. Even Bao Kai was frightened, let alone Tensor. They had cast a net to catch fish here, but they hadn't even seen a ghost guarding the treasure. Was there really no one here? Or was this organization strong enough and confident enough? No matter what, they were becoming more and more careful. They felt that this was a pie that had fallen from the sky. They were eating it too smoothly. Now, all the yin-yang fish by the river had been caught by Bao Kai. It drove the small boat and started to cross the interior. In order to prevent any accidents, it had also taken out the banners of demons to prevent any accidents. Boom! The sound of a vast myriad tribulation exploded here, startling Tensor, who was sitting cross-legged. His face suddenly turned ugly as he looked inside the Tao cauldron where Su Yan was sitting cross-legged. Su Yan, who had been rapidly growing stronger, suddenly had his body torn apart. All kinds of tribulation aura seeped out of his body. It was as if a vast myriad tribulation had manifested in his body, wanting to strangle him completely. Not good. Tensor's eyes widened in anger. He sensed that this was the killing power of the great Tao of the Thunder Tribulation. It had remained in Su Yan's body and had been drawn out at the critical moment. It wanted to destroy Su Yan's reconstructed body in an instant. However, Su Yan had withstood it. His body had been torn apart, and it was on the verge of exploding. What? What happened to you? Yuan turned pale with fright. Su Yan had clearly recovered from his injuries, but now the surging power had shattered Su Yan's battle body. If this continued, his battle body would not be able to recover at all. Even if it recovered, it would continue to crack, and the problem would be very bad. I'm fine. Su Yan's eyes suddenly opened. They were sharp and frightening. His eyes were filled with a domineering aura, filled with an aura of supremacy. It was like an invincible spiritual will in the heavens and the earth. It was captivating. Tensor realized that Su Yin had changed. It was frightening and frightening. This was definitely an invincible will. But your injuries are serious. If you come again in the future, it will be too dangerous. We have to solve the root of the problem. Tensor felt that Su Yan's physical injuries were particularly serious. This made him very nervous. Could it be that the tribulation from back then was not over yet? Was it going to happen again? It's fine. He did not care at all. He exuded a peerless will and shouted, "It's just a great path injury. It can't hurt me." A great path injury. Tensor's heart trembled. This kind of injury was too serious. Moreover, Su Yin had encountered countless tribulations. Who could bear the great path injury that was left behind? Yi Yuan was worried at first, but when he heard Su Yan's words, he was relieved. At this point, Su Yin did not need to continue hiding it. Su Yin did not care at all. He looked as if he was the master of the Tao. His broken body was burning and surging. Although the great path injury was terrifying, Su Yin did not care anymore. When he was going through the tribulation, Su Yin used the beginning sutra to suppress the power of the tribulation. At that time, Su Yin discovered that the great path of the tribulation could be deciphered and even controlled by the beginning sutra. From there, he could master and perfect Su Yan's inner path, which was the state of the universe. He could temper himself into a great path heavenly soldier. Boom! A loud explosion sounded again. The world where Su Yin was blurred. Under Tensor's shocked gaze, Su Yin seemed to have turned into a peerless cauldron with 3 legs and 2 handles. It contained the aura of suppressing the universe. He was like a cauldron, like the universe. An object flew out from Su Yan's body. It was the life cauldron that Su Yin had forged. He began to look back at the special realm of the armor-building realm. The object that was built could also be called the body. The armor-building realm. What is built is me. I am the Tao, the cauldron, the universe, or all things in the universe. The beginning of heaven and earth. Su Yan's body burned fiercely. An extremely grand aura of the great path was released from his body. It was like a celestial light, bright and translucent. It also contained all kinds of heavy aura of the great path. Su Yin seemed to have turned into a vast myriad of tribulations. His entire body was filled with the aura of tribulations. Myriad tribulations body. Tensor mumbled to himself. He seemed to have seen Su Yin turn into a body of tribulations. It was steaming with the light of various great paths. This was the power of the vast myriad of tribulations. Su Yin was attacked by the myriad of tribulations during his tribulations. Every time he went through it, it was extremely difficult. This was a battle of heavenly tribulations that made one despair. Su Yin had faked his death to get through it and avoid being locked on by the heavenly tribulations. After all, no matter how strong Su Yin was now, it was impossible for him to fight against the universe. He could only lay low. During this period of time, he had been comprehending the myriad of tribulations, using the power of the beginning sutra to drive and evolve. He wanted to further perfect what he had learned. Su Yin did not care about the injuries of the great path. If he grasped the myriad of tribulations, the myriad of Taos, the Tao was him, and he was the Tao, the master of the myriad of Taos. Tensor mumbled to himself. Was he walking toward an extreme? Was he in the most terrifying mystic realm of the great path realm? Tensor did not know how strong a supreme being was. However, he knew that Su Yin would definitely be terrifying in the future. He would definitely be able to walk on the path of contending for hegemony in the universe. Su Yan's body spewed out various resplendent light beams. His pores seemed to be spewing out the power of the myriad of Taos. Tensor realized that Su Yin was constantly changing. He was like a cauldron, or a sword, or a bell, or a true dragon. In short, Su Yin seemed to be ever-changing. Various light beams kept flashing out of his body. This was the power of the great path. It was as if the myriad of Taos were hidden in his body, helping Su Yin to become an immortal physical heavenly soldier. Although these great paths seemed very vague, Su Yin had already touched them. As long as he could grasp them, he would definitely be able to comprehend them. Chapter 622. The initial sutra could be said to be extremely difficult, but it could also be said to be relatively easy. This all depended on one's understanding. The initial sutra evolved according to the human body's treasures, like the form of a universe. The higher the evolution, the more difficult it was. If Su Yin really wanted to break through to the great Tao realm, then he could directly do so. However, Su Yin had been studying the great Tao chapters of the initial sutra for several years, and his gains were getting bigger and bigger. Especially after coming into contact with the great Tao mountain, Su Yin felt that it wasn't that easy to unleash the initial sutra to the great Tao realm. After all, the universe's environment had changed, and it was fundamentally different from the past. If he broke through along with it, then the initial sutra wouldn't be the famous Mother Sutra anymore. However, when he was transcending the tribulation, Su Yin was struck by the boundless tribulation. That kind of pain and suffering that went deep into his bones, Su Yin endured, but now it was time to reap the fruits of his labor. There was a rumor in ancient times that if one could survive after experiencing the lightning tribulation, they would gain something. The boundless tribulation that Su Yin experienced was equivalent to experiencing the slashing of 10,000 great Taos. After being tempered by the great Tao, his comprehension was very deep. In Su Yan's body, it was as if there were 10,000 great Taos turning into killing swords that slashed inside Su Yan's body. Even now, the power of the heavenly tribulation could still gather and cause another destructive attack on Su Yin. However, Su Yin wasn't afraid of this at all. As long as he could comprehend 10,000 great Taos, even if it was just a preliminary grasp, he could resolve the crisis. At the same time, he could forge his own great Tao to be even more heaven-defying and astonishing. Buzz, his broken body glowed, attracting the essence of heaven and earth to nourish his broken body. At the same time, Su Yan's forehead glowed, and the primordial spirit that was sitting cross-legged inside walked out with a solemn expression. Su Yan's primordial spirit was about to transform into the Tao and step into the power of the void refinement realm. Whose Tao is it? Su Yin wanted to merge his primordial spirit with his Tao. His primordial spirit glowed and resonated with his corporeal body, which was equivalent to the fusion of spirit and body. In this state, the boundless aura of 10,000 tribulations emerged, causing Su Yan's primordial spirit to be on the verge of collapse. The great Tao's primordial spirit. Su Yin had to cultivate 10,000 Tao and comprehend 10,000 great Tao. After all, to cultivate 10,000 great Tao and comprehend 10,000 Tao Su, primordial void refinement realm. He wasn't worried about the damage to his primordial spirit. Right now, he was in control of a super treasure trove. He took out the power of the yin-yang fish soup to nourish his primordial spirit and strengthen the soul chi within it. In the process, his primordial spirit was constantly comprehending the myriad Taos and learning them. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Su Yin was still sitting cross-legged and comprehending the Tao. He did not show any signs of strength. Everything about his cultivation seemed very peaceful. In the distant yin-yang celestial river, huge waves rolled to the sky, and a small boat was on the verge of collapse. "They're here." Zhang Liang hurriedly stood up and saw Bao Kai and Yi Yuan driving the small boat to swiftly cross the river. During the process, the small boat trembled ceaselessly, and to Zhang Liang's shock, all sorts of golden lights erupted from the extreme yang river that the small boat passed through. Many extreme yang fish were hitting the boat. These extreme yang fish seemed to be psychic. They formed a school and started hitting the boat crazily. This made Bao Kai drool and curse. There was a lot of creation, but their strength was limited. They couldn't take it all in one go. Yi Yuan was wearing silver battle armor. Her strength wasn't inferior to the immortals. Even so, it was still very difficult for them to fish in the river. Swoosh! Finally, the small boat flew out. Tensor let out a sigh of relief. He walked up and asked about the situation inside. The Yin River was too vast. They couldn't see the end. In this space, there was only the Yin River. It was a little strange. Baokai took out a bag. Dozens of Yin fish flew out. The harvest wasn't great. Of course, it was compared to the school of fish in the Yin River. We picked some great herbs. The school of fish went crazy and chased after us. Yuan laughed dryly and said, "In the depths of the river, some miraculous herbs were nurtured. I felt that they were extremely valuable. During the process of harvesting them, I was chased by shoals of fish." "What? There are herbs in here?" Tensor was stunned. He quickly walked up to take a look. Baokai took out 3 stalks of translucent golden grass. They looked like a type of river grass, but these golden river grass were very impressive. Each blade of grass was translucent like gold and jade, overflowing with auspicious clouds. Tensor sensed carefully. He realized that there was an extremely rich yang qi hidden in the river grass. It looked like a type of extreme yang grass. It was very special. Tensor was moved. Baokai and the rest even said that the school of fish gathered around the extreme yang grass as if they were guarding these herbs. They picked one, and the school of fish immediately went berserk. They studied this extreme yang grass. In the end, they realized that the yang qi it contained was very vigorous. It was even more vigorous than that of the extreme yang fish. This shocked them. They felt that this thing was extraordinary. I feel that it's getting more and more evil. There's not a single person in such a big treasure trove. Yuan stared. His messy hair fell over his shoulders. He felt that it was somewhat inconceivable. After all, why wasn't anyone collecting the fortunes in such a terrifying place of fortune? Why wasn't there anyone guarding it? Don't think about it. Let's eat first. We have to collect more fortunes as soon as possible. If there's an accident, we can retreat quickly. Baokai urged. They divided up the yin fish cleanly and refined the yin qi to nourish their bodies. They gain a lot in the process. After all, this was a combination of potential and physical strength. Such a treasure trove was too earth-shattering. Time flew by slowly. Months passed by one after another. It had been 3 months since they escaped into the Yin Sky River. Baokai and the others often went out to fish, but the Yin fish in the Yin Sky River were frightened one after another and fled in all directions. Their harvest was gradually decreasing. However, even if they did get one, they would still spend a lot of energy searching for it. After all, the value of the Yin fish was too terrifying. It made their wealth soar like a rocket. Boom! On this day, Su Yan's aura gradually changed. His aura became more and more profound. It was like a bottomless source of the great Tao. All kinds of great Tao radiance gushed out and illuminated the sky. This was like a mysterious world that gave birth to all things. There were the stars of the universe, the sun, the moon, and the sun. There were all kinds of auspicious beasts, great calamities, yin-yang, plants, and ancient people. The phenomena were profound and unfathomable. They were so profound that they constantly vibrated with the power of the great Tao. Su Yan sat cross-legged in the abyss. He was like the master of the great Tao and all things. He had thousands of great Tao techniques and was unfathomable. Although these great Tao phenomena were relatively vague, it could be said that there were many seals revolving around Su Yan. All kinds of profound phenomena filled the great Tao phenomena. Among them, a sacred figure sat cross-legged in the void. He looked solemn and dignified as he chanted the heavenly voice of the great Tao. This was Su Yan's primordial spirit. It was resplendent and blazing. It was as if he was sitting cross-legged in the future, evolving a long great Tao river that was about to walk toward the present world, refining the spirit into the void, refining the void into the Tao. This was the supreme profoundness of the primordial spirit realm. Su Yan used his primordial spirit to verify his Tao and techniques, causing his primordial spirit to transform into the great Tao primordial spirit. Under normal circumstances, only gods could do this. There were too few great Tao realm cultivators who could do this. Putting aside the danger, one's understanding of the Tao had to reach the extreme. However, Su Yin used the Sutra of Future to guard it. He used the power of the Sutra of Future to evolve the great Tao. It was as if he was evolving the power of the great Tao of the future to baptize his primordial spirit, causing Su Yan's primordial spirit to become more and more shocking. The Sutra of Future was a secret of Buddhism. It was known as one of the most profound sutras in the field of the primordial spirit. It involved time and time. However, Su Yan's natural mystical power was related to time and space. Therefore, Su Yan's primordial spirit changed greatly. Boom! Another period of time passed. Su Yan's primordial spirit became very shocking. It transformed into a huge Buddha that sat at the end of heaven and earth. It had a solemn and dignified appearance. Its figure filled the universe and surged with the heavenly light of the great Tao. Buddhism cultivates Buddhism, but Su Yin used Buddhism's sutras to guide the Tao, to temper his primordial spirit. Tensor pondered. Su Yin cultivated the Sutra of Future. This is the supreme heavenly art of Buddhism. This sutra is definitely not simple. Bao Kai mumbled. It said that the Buddhist region has a unique great Tao and world environment. Cultivating Buddhism instead of great Tao. Is this a path of one's own? Tensor had never been to the Buddhist region before. He also rarely encountered cultivators from the Buddhist region. However, West Buddha was one of the four supreme beings of the heavens. His fame was widespread and resounding. The Sutra of Future cultivated the primordial spirit. Su Yin increasingly felt that the Sutra of Future was a special heavenly art that could guide the primordial spirit to cultivate. However, it wasn't restricted to the form of energy. In short, Su Yan's primordial spirit had improved greatly. His primordial spirit was filled with tyrannical power. It was nourished by the Tao and supplemented by the yin-yang fish. It was like a golden god that sat cross-legged in the future, overlooking the universe. Month after month of accumulation, the primordial spirit sat cross-legged on the enlightenment stone. Finally, one day, Tao sounds rumbled between heaven and earth. Thousands of strands of auspicious clouds and purple clouds filled the sky. Boom! After half a year of silence, the golden primordial spirit released a terrifying aura. It revealed its divinity between heaven and earth. The huge golden primordial spirit was like an immemorial mountain. The aura it emitted made the primordial spirits of Yuan and the others feel like they were about to break apart. This was an extremely heaven-defying scene. Su Yan's primordial spirit was filled with the aura of the divine Tao. This was a power that only the primordial spirit of a god could possess. It supported the universe and contained the abyss of the great Tao, releasing endless Buddhist light. Moreover, Su Yan's primordial spirit was blurry and mysterious. It towered at the end of the world, standing in the future and overlooking the present world. Su Yan's corporeal body, which had been silent for half a year, trembled. It resonated with his primordial spirit. At this moment, his primordial spirit became one with his primordial spirit and emitted an overflowing radiance. He rushed into the firmament and then fell down. It could be said that all things in the heavens were falling down as they revolved around Su Yan. This was a wisp of terrifying power awakening. Su Yan's hair danced wildly as the aura in his body awakened. He was like a god of war that suppressed the universe. His Tao physique was exceptional, and his aura could swallow rivers and mountains. Boom! It was as if he was merging with the Tao of the heavens. Tens of thousands of apparitions revolved around him. His body was like the carrier of the great Tao. All the apparitions of the great Tao surrounded and protected Su Yan, setting him off to become extremely powerful. Chapter 623. Strange phenomena appeared between heaven and earth, filled with auspicious signs of the great Tao. This did not seem to be a massacre born from the boundless myriad tribulations. Instead, it was Su Yan's Tao and Dharma, his own power and Dharma. It seemed to be born from the world within his body, and there was the sound of the great Tao resonating with it. How can there be so much power of the great Tao? Tensor muttered to himself. I seem to see the myriad Tao revolving around Su Yan. Although the myriad seals surround and protect him, how powerful must this sutra be to drive the power of the myriad Tao? I feel that this path seems to be very difficult. That's right. Yuan nodded solemnly. Su Yan had now awakened. He had been in seclusion for more than half a year since he recovered from his injuries. Now, it could be said that he had been reborn from the ashes. His combat strength had climbed several levels, and he was completely different from before. He stood between heaven and earth, as if he had turned into a cosmic wormhole. The power of the myriad Tao passed through his physical body and through the universe, filling this world with the aura of the myriad Tao. Tens of thousands of Taoists gathered here, but they did not collide with each other. This was all because Su Yan had used the beginning sutra to evolve into the form of a universe. It was as if Su Yan had transformed into a universe. He had established a new environment and evolved the proper order. It had to be said that it was especially amazing. It could be called a miracle. After more than half a year, Bao Kai and the others had changed a lot. In particular, Bao Kai had absorbed a new type of seal. He had already obtained a total of 8 supreme seals of the great Tao demon realm. If he gathered one more, he would have a total of 9. The treasure of the banners of demons was also gradually uncovered by Bao Kai. Sooner or later, this treasure would erupt in the universe again. But when that time came, it was still unknown how strong it would be. Yuan and Tensor had swallowed a large number of yin-yang fish and unearthed more potential in their physical bodies. They had also changed a lot and could easily release super powerful combat strength. In the future, when they traveled the universe, they would definitely make a name for themselves. Of course, there were still many yin-yang fish left. Now, they often went out to sea to fish. It had been more than half a year, and there was not even a shadow of a ghost here. It was simply a treasure trove isolated from the world. But they gradually became worried because they had already changed the location of the treasure. They gradually discovered a particularly serious problem. How are they going to leave this place? Mother asterisk her, are we going to be trapped to death? After a few more months, they were no longer in the mood to cultivate. If it wasn't for the abundant worldly essence Qi, they would be even more anxious. After all, no matter how strong a cultivator was, without the nourishment of worldly essence Qi, they would continue to decline and eventually become mortals. The space where the yin-yang sky river was located was like an independent world. However, no matter how they traversed this independent world, they were always going in circles inside. In the end, they understood that this was because the space-time power inside was too shocking. Such a terrifying method that even they couldn't detect meant that the problem was serious. Perhaps it was a space-time world opened up by a mighty figure. If this world couldn't be opened, then to them, it was just waiting for death. Mother asterisk her, aren't they afraid that we'll clean up all the fish? Hurry up and open this damned place. Bao Kai was cursing. His fat body, which was black and white, was lying in the small boat. He crossed his legs and floated on the river. From time to time, he would cast a net to catch fish. Although they were tempted here, how to get out was a big problem. Yuan and the others smiled bitterly. They had been concentrating on cultivating during this time. Now that they were focusing on getting out, they found that there was nothing they could do. Su Yan is about to wake up. Tensor exclaimed when he saw Su Yan, who had been floating in the void for months, suddenly release his aura again. However, when he woke up this time, he let out a roar. His primordial spirit returned, and his body was awakened, emitting a magnificent light. It was as if a divine cave had been opened, and the power of the great path emerged. Su Yan's physical body was like a huge whirlpool. As he sucked, the tens of thousands of rays of light that were circulating between the heavens and the earth suddenly began to gather in the world within Su Yan's body. What is he doing? Yuan and the others watched, as if they saw Su Yan absorb a world of the great path and return it to his body and the universe inside his body. His body kept rumbling, and endless light of the great path emerged. He was like a real universe that had all things in the universe and emitted a terrifying aura of the beginning of all things. Boom! The world exploded, unable to withstand the surging airflow in Su Yan's body. It was a terrifying and heaven-defying scene. The Great Path returned to one and gathered in Su Yan's body, driven by the power of the beginning sutra. The aura of the Great Path gushed out of Su Yan's body like the sea, roaring and howling. His aura increased sharply. When it exploded to the limit, the universe seemed to have undergone a big bang. His body was like the universe, evolving into chaos. Oh no, Baokai growled. He sensed that the situation in Su Yan's body was not right. The power of the Great Path was too heaven-defying. It gathered in Su Yan's body. But could he really control this ability? The answer was that it was impossible now. Su Yan's body trembled violently, and cracks appeared on his body. It was like a celestial cave that was falling apart and was about to be destroyed. Ha ha! However, Su Yan laughed while bathed in blood. His disheveled hair danced in the wind. He did not care about the injuries on his body. His laughter shook the world and spread to the Yin-Yang celestial river, causing huge waves to form on the surface of the river. Is he crazy? Baokai said with a simple and honest face. Could it be that he lost his mind in the process of enlightenment? His heart has been taken over by the Great Path. Don't talk nonsense. Yuan shook his head and said, I reckon that Su Yan's path is not finished yet. The Great Path still has the possibility of improvement. Tensor nodded and agreed with Yuan's words. Su Yan had already cultivated to this step and could even comprehend the Great Path. What Tao calamity could stop Su Yan? Without a doubt, Su Yan's aura calmed down very quickly, and the Great Path gradually fell into silence. His physical injuries were serious, but with Su Yan's current battle body, this kind of injury could not threaten him. The essence in his body rose and penetrated his body, repairing his physique. Su Yan's eyes suddenly opened. He had experienced too much during this period of time. His path, his Great Path, had been ignited since the opening of the Great Path Mountain. After the boundless myriad calamities, everything had come naturally. Of course, Su Yan lacked time now. He needed a lot of time to perfect what he had learned so that he could embark on the Great Path returning to one. However, Su Yan felt that this path was still a bit far from him. It was too early to talk about it now. However, he already had a rough outline of his future cultivation. As long as the time was right, he could break through. This was especially shocking. The future cultivation path was smooth sailing. All he lacked was time and opportunity. There's no way out? They talked together and told him about the events that had happened during this period of time. Su Yan frowned and said, This is too strange. We have occupied this land of fortune for a year, but there's not even a ghost here. No one even came to investigate. It's unbelievable. What kind of organization did we encounter? Just this resource land alone is enough to make the peak races go crazy. Even the Almighty will bow down. Yuan was speechless and said, We have harvested more than 1,000 pairs of yin-yang fish. What kind of concept is this? Their value cannot be measured by money. There's even a lot of extreme yang grass and extreme yin grass. They felt that these two types of plants were very impressive, so they did not use them too much. There were even some yin-yang fish in the yin-yang sky river that had not been fished out. Now that Su Yan had awakened, they had hopes of harvesting more yin-yang fish. When they got out in the future, they would make a fortune. All of them have become rich and have a lot of money. Su Yan laughed, but his heart was silent. He had experienced too many things during this period of time. From the Divine Mountain Range until now, 3 to 4 years had passed. Su Yan felt a sense of urgency. He wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. He did not know what had happened outside. He did not know if his information had been leaked or if the earth had been exposed. Get out. We must get out as soon as possible. Su Yan began to investigate the area and took out the yin-yang compass. With his mastery of strange techniques, he would definitely be able to see some energy substances that they could not see. It could also be that there was a space-time seal. Time passed day by day. Su Yan searched while catching yin-yang fish and picking 2 types of strange flowers. He gained a lot. This was because Su Yin had mastered the Fist of Time. It was a one-hit wonder. However, half a month had passed. Su Yan's mood became more and more serious. This was because he could not see through it. The heaven and earth seemed to be complete. It was a whole, an independent world. He could not find a way to leave. There's no password. What's the incantation to open the Yin-Yang cave? If we're trapped here, we'll be in big trouble. Su Yin breathed heavily. They needed the key to open the space-time seal. When the Yin-Yang Sky River's fortune was excavated, they were dumbfounded. How are they going to get out? Were they really going to be trapped here for more than 10 years? Or even longer? After all, this place was isolated from the outside world. They had no idea what was happening outside. And recently, Bamboo Moon came out of seclusion and attained the heavenly god realm. With her talent, it was easy to imagine how powerful and heaven-defying Bamboo Moon was. She even cultivated the immortal scripture, the Big Dipper scripture. I've already broken through to the heavenly god realm. Am I still far from the divine king? Bamboo Moon's starry eyes lit up. She was peerless, and her body faintly emitted heavenly god waves. If it weren't for the Big Dipper divine medicine and Su Yin triggering the Big Dipper's origin, time wouldn't have passed so quickly. Even my harvest wouldn't be so great. It's much better than I expected. I wonder if Su Yin will bring me any other surprises after becoming the Big Dipper sovereign. If the Big Dipper Star Pagoda can be activated, our sect will have a shocking foundation. Even Almighties won't be able to invade. Chapter 6:24. Did something happen in the sect while I was in seclusion? Zhu Yu's expression sank slightly. As she traveled through space, she noticed that the strong practitioners overseeing the various planets were not the strong practitioners she was familiar with. Her people had been replaced in large batches, and many of them were Han Jin Yuan's old subordinates back in the day. It should be Han Jin Yuan, an old man who has lived for thousands of years. How dare he stir up trouble? Seems like he knows about the old master's seclusion. Humph. Bamboo Moon's eyes flashed with hostility. She was now the master of the Big Dipper, the most powerful person in the Big Dipper constellation. How dare he change people without informing her? Bamboo Moon was a little angry. That was too disrespectful. Did he still think she was the old master of the Big Dipper? Zhu Yu even had an ominous feeling in her heart. Where had some of her disciples gone? Where was Su Yin? When Bamboo Moon heard the whispers of the disciples passing by, Bamboo Moon's face slowly darkened. A cold light flashed on her snow-white face. She disappeared from the spot with a quick step. This was the real Big Dipper, and she arrived at the entrance of the dungeon in an instant. Who dares to trespass into the forbidden area? The experts patrolling the entrance of the dungeon were shocked. Someone was approaching silently. When they turned around and saw who it was, their faces changed drastically. They were very abnormal. They quickly said, "Master Star Master, when did you come out of seclusion?" Zhu Yu walked towards the dungeon, suppressing the anger in her heart. "Master Star, this is Elder Han's order. You are not allowed." The experts guarding the dungeon smiled bitterly. Han Jin Yuan asked them to guard this place and not let anyone come close. When Xing Jingfu and the others were willing to admit their mistakes, they would be released. However, they did not expect Bamboo Moon to come out of seclusion and even come to the dungeon. Buzz. Bamboo Moon flung her sleeves. She was now a heavenly god. Who could stop her? Moreover, this was the ancestral land of Hokuto. Even the divine king, Bamboo Moon, was not afraid of her, let alone some disciples who dared to stop her. "I think you guys are really rebelling." "Scram!" Bamboo Moon angrily rebuked. With a wave of her sleeve, she sent the expert who was blocking her flying. She even blasted open the tightly shut prison door. The moment Zhu Yu charged in, her beautiful black hair fluttered in the wind. Her starry eyes shot out a cold glint in all directions. She was truly furious. Dozens of talented disciples were locked up in the dungeon, including her personal disciples. Even the old master of the stars, the divine king of Hokuto, would not make such a decision without first informing her. The disciples in prison here were the most outstanding in Hokuto and the future pillars of Hokuto. She was the master of the Big Dipper. Now, Bamboo Moon felt that she had lost all her dignity. Star-Lord, look! The Star-Lord is here. Xiao Wan and the others had lost control of their emotions. They had been locked up in the dungeon for a year and had not seen the light of day. Han Jinyuan had asked them to reflect and even admit their mistakes. How could they do that? In the past year, they did not know what had happened outside. They did not even know how Su Yin was doing. If they did not find something to treat his injuries, Su Yin would have died long ago. Star-Lord, please save eldest senior brother. Feng Xiaomu cried and said, something big happened a year ago. Eldest senior brother became the Big Dipper Supreme and encountered a heavenly tribulation. He almost died and was on his last breath, but he was chased out. Many disciples began to shout out the grievances in their hearts. He was chased out and was severely injured. He was on the verge of death. Bamboo Moon's heart ached. Her delicate body trembled, and her face was pale. She could not bear to recall the scene. They had been wrong, but what about Su Yin? He was severely injured and was forced to leave Hokuto. How could he survive? Bamboo Moon clenched her jade-like hands. Her beautiful face was covered in frost. Who dares to break into the dungeon? I think it's Star Element and you guys again. Hee, wasn't old Han's lesson enough? Do you still want to defy the decree? An old god with a powerful aura barged in. His face was full of anger. Han Jinyuan had given a death order. As long as Xing Jingfu and the others did not admit their mistakes, none of them could be released. Star Element and the others had wanted to secretly release the disciples, but they were caught by old Han. When he barged in and saw a woman in a silver robe standing in the dungeon, the old Mizar Palace Master's face was as ugly as it could get. Why did Bamboo Moon come out of seclusion? If it was in the past, they would not have taken Bamboo Moon seriously. Although Bamboo Moon had suppressed their successors, Bamboo Moon was now a god. Her position in Hokuto was completely stable. She even had the old Star-Lord supporting her. However, he did not expect Bamboo Moon to come out of seclusion so quickly. But the old Mizar Palace Master was not afraid of Bamboo Moon. He smiled faintly and said, "So, it's the eldest niece. Haha, when did you come out of seclusion? Why didn't you tell me in advance?" The old Mizar Palace Master was very arrogant. He kept calling Zhu Yu his niece, and he even insulted her because she was young. This old man was using his seniority to bully her. Of course, he didn't know who Zhu Yu's birth mother was. You guys go back first. Leave the rest to me. Bamboo Moon took a deep breath. Xiao Wan and the others knew that it was useless to be angry now. A year had passed, and they did not know Su Yan's current situation. No, the old Mizar Palace Master said coldly. They can leave, but they must admit their mistakes. This is Elder Han's order. No one is to disobey. Scram. Bamboo Moon's eyes emitted a monstrous light. Her eyes were like the sun and moon, magnificent beyond compare. In an instant, a burst of energy erupted, covering the sky and the earth as it furiously swept towards the old Mizar Palace Master. It smashed into the prison so hard that it was about to explode. This kind of aura made the old Mizar Palace Master tremble in fear. His body flew out uncontrollably like a kite with a broken string. He did not have the slightest ability to resist. The moment he fell to the ground, he was dizzy and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Bastard, you are too presumptuous. Ah! The old Mizar Palace Master roared, his face full of shame and anger. He had actually been sent flying by Bamboo Moon's kick. Although he knew that Bamboo Moon was strong, he had never imagined that she would be able to send him flying. Even so, he had never imagined that Bamboo Moon would be strong to such an extent. She had an invincible stance within the divine spirit realm. The old Mizar Palace Master's mournful roar reverberated throughout Hokuto. It shook many experts on the celestial bodies. For a moment, all kinds of divine light erupted within Hokuto. The experts overseeing the various regions were all awakened. When they looked into the distance and saw the peerlessly beautiful Bamboo Moon standing between the heavens and earth, their expressions all changed. They knew that something big was about to happen. Bamboo Moon had come out of seclusion and would definitely not leave things at that. However, Han Jinyuan was a heavenly deity, an expert of the same generation as the old Master of the Stars. But if the old Master of the Stars did not come out of seclusion, could Bamboo Moon suppress him? Even if she could suppress him, Hokuto would definitely fall into chaos. Who is it that is causing trouble again? Another dragon-like fluctuation awakened. The scene of a heavenly deity awakening was extremely shocking. Even the starry sky was fragmented, unable to withstand the fluctuations of a heavenly deity. Han Jinyuan walked out and looked at Bamboo Moon. He smiled faintly. So it's the young Master of the Stars. Why are you so angry? You even went to war against the experts of the older generation. This is not right. Old thing, you are already so old, yet you still come out to stir up trouble. I think you are really tired of living. Bamboo Moon was furious. Her body emitted a bright, killing intent. She was not a kind person. Back then, she had dared to venture into the chaos ruins and even survived. This was enough to show that Bamboo Moon was also a decisive person. Otherwise, how could she have become the Master of the Stars? Bastard! Han Jinyuan's face turned extremely ugly. He pointed at Bamboo Moon and roared angrily. How dare you speak rudely to me? You are indeed the Master of the Stars of Hokuto, but Hokuto is not for a woman like you to make decisions. Bamboo Moon's killing intent surged as she closed in on Han Jinyuan. What? You dare to attack me? Han Jinyuan smiled. It was not that he looked down on Bamboo Moon, but that heavenly deities and deities were not in the same realm. Enough. The old divine beast walked out. His old body emitted a dazzling light as he glared at them. Finally, he looked at Bamboo Moon and said in a gentle tone, Master of the Stars, I am under orders to guard the clan. There are some things that you do not know. Let's sit down and talk. What is there to talk about? I don't see that she wants to rebel. She has no respect for her elders at all. Han Jinyuan said coldly. Don't think that just because you have a status, you can disregard the law and disrespect your elders. Little Master of the Stars, if you have the ability, come at me. The old divine beast frowned. Just as he was about to speak again, he realized that Bamboo Moon's speed was extremely fast. It was as if she was walking on an independent path in the starry sky. And the old divine beast's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly chased after her. If such a battle were to happen, it would not be beneficial to Hokuto. However, the old divine beast was getting more and more shocked. Bamboo Moon's speed was too fast. She was infinitely close to Han Jinyuan. In this ancient sea of stars, her body was getting stronger and stronger. Finally, she was like a heavenly deity who could suppress the universe. That terrifying aura filled the entire place, causing Han Jinyuan to feel a trace of fear in his heart. Why did he feel that the current Bamboo Moon was a little scary? Under everyone's shocked gaze, Bamboo Moon came up and gave Han Jinyuan a big slap. Her speed was too fast. In just one move, Han Jinyuan felt a sharp pain in his head. His eyes turned black and his skull cracked. He miserably screamed as blood spurted out from his mouth and nose. Han Jinyuan never thought that Bamboo Moon would suddenly make a move and even injure him. He was a dignified expert from the same era as the old Master of the Stars. He had lived for eons, yet he was actually slapped by a mere several hundred years old Bamboo Moon. Many elders were dumbfounded. How could this be? Could it be that Han Jinyuan did not know how to dodge? Or could it be that Bamboo Moon was so terrifying that she could challenge a heavenly deity? Bastard, you crazy woman. Chapter 625. Be careful, Star Lord. Han Jinyuan, don't make a mistake. Do you want to cause internal strife in Hokuto? If you dare to harm even a hair on the Star Lord's head, I'll beat your grandson to death. Tao Jingyang and the rest rushed over. They were all envious of this scene. Some of the bad-tempered experts even threatened him. It was clear how important the Big Dipper Star Lord was to them. After all, Han Jinyuan was an enlightened master. Although he didn't have much lifespan left and his vital energy was declining, the energy controlled by an enlightened master was vastly different from that of a divine spirit. Once a fight broke out, it would be difficult for a divine spirit to win. Although such situations were possible, Han Jinyuan was different. He had a certain amount of resources in Hokuto. Once a fight broke out, it would be a major event that would shake the entire Big Dipper starfield. Who knows if he's really the young Star-Lord? What if he's someone else in disguise? Han Jinyuan wouldn't stop. He pounced forward, and his enlightened master's energy surged. He tore through the sky and suppressed Bamboo Moon. Boom! However, what made everyone pale was that Bamboo Moon seemed to have merged with the ancient star sea. She waved her palm, and although it looked gentle, it contained unparalleled destructive power. It forcefully shattered the enlightened master's energy. Big Dipper Scripture? The old divine beast was shocked. This was the power of the Big Dipper Scripture. This was Hokuto's second ancestral land. It was opened by the Almighty of Hokuto, and it contained the unique domain world of the Big Dipper Scripture. Once the Big Dipper Scripture was comprehended to a high level, one would be able to utilize the resources of Hokuto's second ancestral land. In this unique domain, even the Divine King wouldn't be able to threaten Bamboo Moon. Han Jinyuan was only an enlightened master. How could he resist the power of Bamboo Moon's second ancestral land? Suddenly, terrifying energy surged. The ancient star sea condensed together and erupted with a terrifying power. It shook Han Jinyuan until he spat out blood. Ah! Han Jinyuan screamed as fear welled up in his heart. He was frightened. Zhuyu's strength was too strong. He had no room to fight back against Zhuyu. They had just started fighting, but Zhuyu had already suppressed him on the spot. Heavens, how can the Star-Lord be so strong? Has he already stepped into the heavenly god realm? That's impossible. How long has it been since the Star Master became a god? How could he soar into the heavenly deity realm so quickly? Just now, I seem to have seen a commotion in my sect. If he was controlled by the Star-Lord. This is the ability of the Big Dipper Scripture. Amidst the discussion, Xing Jingfu's words appeared. This is the ability of the Big Dipper Scripture. Master has comprehended the Big Dipper Scripture to a profound level and can become one with this place. In this unique world, even the Divine King is not afraid. What? There's still such a foundation. Hokuto was in an uproar. Being able to be unafraid of the power of the Divine King was an extremely important matter. Bamboo Moon was still very young, and this was equivalent to a Divine King overseeing Hokuto for eternity. The Big Dipper Scripture was too important to Hokuto. It was one of the strongest inheritances of their lineage. As long as they could master it, they would be able to use the various resources left behind by their ancestors. What Bamboo Moon had mastered was one of them. How could she cultivate so quickly? The Mizar Palace Master's expression was extremely ugly. Now that Bamboo Moon had stepped into this step, who in the Big Dipper Starfield could stop her? Only a powerful expert had the qualifications to stop Bamboo Moon. No matter what, the Bamboo Moon today was too strong. This night, Hokuto was turned upside down, and Han Jinyuan was almost killed. Anyone could see that. Many elders were extremely excited. After all, Bamboo Moon was too young. Now that she had cultivated the Big Dipper Scripture to this level, she might be able to step into the realm of the Divine King in the future. I refuse to accept this. Han Jinyuan roared. A heavenly deity was beaten until he felt endless shame. However, no matter how unwilling he was, no one could help him. Han Jinyuan's subordinates were all mute. If they went over to speak, their end would be no different from Han Jinyuan's. Xiao Wen and the others were all excited. Han Jinyuan had been imprisoned by Bamboo Moon. Bastard, let me out, let me out. Han Jinyuan roared continuously. He was a dignified heavenly deity, but now he was imprisoned in a dungeon. How could he face others in the future? Moreover, Han Jinyuan had imprisoned a group of disciples here, and now he was imprisoned here. This was too much of a slap to the face. The atmosphere in the sect was strange. Many people were clapping their hands and praising Han Jinyuan. After all, Han Jinyuan had gone too far. He had locked up so many talented disciples in the dungeon for an entire year. The masters of these disciples were very angry. Although it was because of the matter with Su Yin, Han Jinyuan's actions were too excessive. The younger generation was their hope. Doing so was equivalent to cutting off Hokuto's future development. Han Jinyuan only wanted to teach them a lesson and make them obedient. However, after being imprisoned for more than a year, many elders could not bear it anymore. They pleaded many times, but without exception, they were all rejected. Otherwise, they would be punished. If Su Yin falls, the two of you will not have a good ending. And you, Han Jinyuan, I will spare your life first. You better stay here and reflect. We will talk again when you think clearly. Bamboo Moon left Hokuto, leaving behind a sentence that made Han Jinyuan despair. Was there any hope of being imprisoned here? This made the old divine beast smile bitterly. Although he knew that it was very inappropriate to let Su Yin leave at that time, Su Yan's injuries were too severe. Moreover, the trouble on his body was too great. Therefore, he could only let him leave. Can eldest senior brother survive? Definitely. I believe eldest senior brother will not be defeated so easily. Yes, eldest senior brother went missing for so long, but he still came out alive. Just wait, the Star-Lord will definitely bring good news. Xing Jingfu and the others, who had seen the light of day again, were absent-minded. They were full of expectations, hoping to receive good news. Su Yin had been missing for a year. The elders in the sect did not have any hope. Su Yan's injuries were so severe that it would be impossible for him to recover without divine medicine. Bamboo Moon searched day after day. Even after a month, she still could not find Su Yin in the entire Big Dipper constellation. She was very angry and could not let go. She looked up at the sky with her beautiful face and shouted, "Where did you go?" A light breeze came, and her clothes fluttered. She stood on the peak of a mountain, looking up at the sky and muttering to herself, "Did I return to another world?" She thought of the trial tower in the Huaxiao Alliance. Su Yin could not find the people of the buried region. If Su Yin really wanted to find a place to return to, it would be his hometown. However, Bamboo Moon did not know if Su Yin could survive. 1 year and 2 months, Su Yin caught the last extreme yang fish. There was no longer any life in the Yin-Yang Sky River. The yin-yang fish were all caught. They used extravagant methods to refine the yin-yang fish. In the end, the yin-yang fish had no value to them. They could no longer increase their potential. Su Yin sealed many yin-yang fish. If he could leave this place one day, his first priority would be to return to his hometown. The yin-yang fish would be of great help to the Huaxiao Alliance. "God, please let me out." Bao Kai wanted to cry, but had no tears. They were about to go crazy. At first, they were especially excited, but now they were getting more and more impatient. They couldn't help but wonder if the experts who had barged in back then had all turned into ashes. It doesn't matter how many yin-yang fish there are. Tensor shrugged. Even if they were given a ship's worth of treasures, it would be useless. Yuan was silent. He sat cross-legged in the void. His hair was messy. He was even calculating how many years it would take to enter the God Spirit realm. Could it be that they had to wait until they were strong enough to leave this independent space? Su Yin had done many experiments. He had even inscribed a super formation to activate the power of the Yin-Yang Sky River. He had tried to break open the Yin-Yang space, but it had all ended in failure. He began to study the small blood-colored altar again. However, they did not recognize the ancient characters inscribed on the small altar. Even if they understood the power of the small altar, they could not open the Yin-Yang cave without the mysterious incantation. Since there was a way to enter, Su Yin felt that there must be a way to leave. However, all his efforts were in vain. There was no way out unless someone opened it from the outside or mastered the real way to open it. Su Yin was very anxious at first, but he slowly calmed down. It was useless to be anxious. He began to use the time to comprehend. If he could not get out, then he would cultivate to a higher realm. One day, they would be able to kill their way out. Su Yin focused on comprehending the profound meaning of the mystic arts. He was now a 6th grade mystic arts practitioner. The next step was to become a 7th grade mystic arts practitioner. Once he could cross that threshold, it would be amazing. He might even be able to open this world. 1 year and 3 months. Bao Kai howled, "I can't take it anymore. I think we should use the power of the banners of demons to forcefully open the space." This was indeed a method, but the consequences were unknown. If they caused a huge commotion and attracted the attention of the organization, how could they escape? They did not dare to take the risk. If they failed, the consequences would be unimaginable. This organization was too mysterious. They had stolen so many fortunes. Once they were discovered, the consequences would be unimaginable. Boom! Just as they were discussing and discussing, the mysterious yin-yang space trembled violently. Su Yin and the others were in a daze. They looked back and stared at the area before they came. Their expressions were abnormal. They stood up one after another, full of anticipation. He had studied that place countless times, but he still could not find the way to open it. However, the area was now twisting and boiling. The space was changing in a large number. This was a sign that the space-time tunnel was opening. Someone opened the space-time tunnel. Get ready. Su Yin suddenly stood up. His emotions were surging. The time for them to leave had come. However, when the space-time tunnel was about to form and the terrifying aura of the Divine King pervaded the air, Bao Kai and the others were dumbfounded. Damn, are they playing with us? Chapter 626. The silent yin-yang, celestial river, trembled violently and emitted a whistling sound. That was the aura of the Divine King. It was as gloomy as the purgatory that covered the world as it rolled over. Everything was transmitted from the space-time tunnel. A pair of eyes opened in the darkness. The blood-colored pupils were as evil as the blood moon. Now, this creature was gradually approaching the yin-yang tunnel. Of course, it wasn't just one. The one leading was a Divine King. He stood tall in the darkness and didn't reveal his true body. Only his eyes were glowing. It was as if his life form only had a pair of blood-colored eyes floating in the darkness. Behind him, mechanical footsteps could be heard, for shadows followed closely behind, emitting a cold aura. The sound of black chains colliding could be heard around them. These creatures really were like ghosts that walked out from hell, the yin energy extremely heavy, hiding in the darkness. They were currently moving through the space-time tunnel, moving through the yin-yang heavenly river. During this process, Su Yin and the others wanted to rush out. As long as they could rush into the Big Dipper, the Divine King would have a hard time catching them. But how could it be so easy? A Divine King was leading the charge. They would definitely be blocked if they acted rashly. The risk was too great. They're here. It seems they're experts from that organization. This organization is really powerful. A Divine King has come. Yuan and the others were hiding in the dilapidated cauldron. The cauldron had merged with space-time and even escaped into the yin-yang celestial river. Su Yin thought back to when he was in danger on the bipolar star. Even several Divine Kings didn't discover him. Then, he should be able to hide from this Divine King's eyes and ears. Boom! When they rushed in, a bloody light overflowed into the sky from the pair of blood-red eyes. All sorts of images of blood-red stars, moons, and seas of blood with terrifying auras appeared, and all sorts of divine cries that sounded like the weeping of gods and the weeping of ghosts could be heard. It was as if the 18 layers of purgatory had been opened. One after another, powerful spirits walked in. They stood tall between heaven and earth and surveyed the yin-yang celestial river. A bone-piercing chill emerged from their hearts. The whole world sank into darkness. The yin-yang celestial river was on the verge of burning. One after another, the dark creatures with cold auras became angry. Not a single yin-yang fish was left in the yin-yang celestial river. Who could bear it? Stowaways have broken in. A cold voice sounded, penetrating deep into everyone's bones. It was this Divine King who spoke. It seems like it's been a while. Kiki, daring to oppose us, even plucking all of the natural luck. Truly preposterous. Plop! The four experts behind the Divine King trembled and fell. After all, they were four deities, but now they were kneeling on the ground and repenting their sins. Even the other party was the Divine King. My lord, please calm down. The four black shadows knelt on the ground like his battle servants. One of them said angrily, they dared to scheme against us and even plot against the yin-yang road. I think it must be those immortal Tao creatures who are struggling at death's door. A wisp of blood-colored lightning flashed in the depths of the Divine King's eyes. His aura was rather mysterious and terrifying. His anger surged, causing the world to tremble. The yin-yang celestial river rumbled violently. The two rivers seemed to be about to collide and erupt with a great explosion. This Divine King was fairly powerful. The universe trembled with each breath. Everything had to bow down at his feet. Su Yin and the others couldn't understand how powerful the Divine King was. Perhaps only those who had stepped into the realm of deities were qualified to understand the power of this secret realm. Su Yin and the others hid in the broken cauldron and didn't dare to breathe loudly. It would be fine if it were only the four deities, but now that the Divine King had come, things were troublesome. They weren't worried about being exposed. What they were worried about was how to leave this mysterious world. Immortal Tao creatures? Tensor muttered to himself. His whole body was emitting cold air. He said in a trembling voice, "Do you remember the ancient book I told you about before? It's extremely difficult to verify ancient history. I read many secrets there." "I remember." Su Yin nodded. At that time, Tensor even asked about the cosmic matrix. If his physique was the myriad tribulation physique, then in a relatively distant era, this physique was an incomprehensible cosmic matrix. I once read about the immortal Tao in the ancient book. It seemed very frightening and astonishing. It was like a realm or a title for experts. I feel that this organization's origins are too astonishing. We can't afford to provoke them. Su Yin and the others smiled wryly. Who would want to provoke them? But they had emptied out all the treasures here. Once the other party found out, there would be great trouble in the future. After all, this organization hid too deeply in the dark. Not necessarily. Those who attempt the yin-yang road in vain won't have a good ending. The Divine King coldly shouted. The buried region race is no exception. Who dares to provoke our race's divine might? I suspect that an expert accidentally ran into this place and even escaped inside. Su Yin and the others were apprehensive. Could this organization have existed for a very long time? Could it be that even the buried region race found it difficult to resist them? "Sir, you mean this person might not have left?" The four divine beings were shocked. However, they couldn't see any other life forms hidden here. Of course, after careful consideration, their hearts became gloomy. If the other party had left, then that would be the biggest problem. After all, opening the yin-yang road required a special method. If the other party had grasped this method, then it would be too inconceivable. Therefore, this matter had to be investigated clearly. Search. The Divine King didn't believe the other party had dug out the fortunes and left unscathed. He felt that it was an accident that the other party had entered this place. The Divine King's blood-red pupils illuminated the space and pierced through the void. Inch by inch, he began a search in the heaven and earth. He wanted to dig out Su Yin and the others who were hiding in the dark. Su Yin was somewhat flustered by this kind of search. If they were really discovered, then they would really capsize in the gutter. Get ready. Make the best plans. Su Yin's expression was solemn. He ordered Bao Kai to prepare the banners of demons. The most powerful treasures they currently possessed were the banners of demons, as well as the golden iron ox statue hidden between Bao Cai's brows. However, they were facing a Divine King. To deal with the Divine King, even if they had the almighty divine weapons, they wouldn't be able to exert much of their power. However, it was still unknown how powerful the banners of demons were. Su Yin handed the silver force armor to Bao Kai. If Bao Kai cooperated with the power of the silver force armor, it would be able to exert the divine power of a god and use it to drive the banners of demons. Whether we can leave or not depends on this. If we are discovered, I'm afraid we won't be able to get out of here for the rest of our lives. Yuan said in a deep voice. He took out his blood-red spear. This Divine King's weapon was glowing. The blood-red light was steaming, blazing, and dazzling. After all, even if they could really kill the Divine King, they would be trapped in this space. Who knew how long it would take for this organization to send people again? It was even possible that this organization didn't have any almighty experts. We can only gamble this time. Su Yin and the others were drenched in cold sweat. The broken cauldron had merged with the space and sunk into the land of the extreme Yang River. In the past, when he hid in the broken cauldron, the divine king didn't find him. However, it was hard to say this time. After all, this space wasn't big for the divine king. They waited anxiously. Darkness had already shrouded the space of yin and yang. Slowly, their search neared Su Yin and the others. Every inch of space was distorted, and it was being destroyed in the distortion. Su Yin wasn't confident at all. Could the broken cauldron withstand such a destructive attack? Could it hide in the void like the tunnel of yin and yang? Buzz. For a moment, the world was covered in a blood-red light, as if it was dyed in a layer of blood. In the eyes of Su Yin and the others, a pair of blood-red eyes, as evil as the blood moon, stared at them. Su Yin and the others tensed up. Their hearts were in their throats as a wisp of fear welled up in their hearts. They felt that they had been exposed. The divine king was staring at them. Under the gaze of the divine king, their hearts trembled as if thunder had struck. Even a single glance from the divine king was filled with a terrifying deterrent force. Under his gaze, Su Yin and the others felt as if their bodies and minds were being torn apart. Bao Kai endured the torment and was about to erupt with the banners of demons. However, they soon discovered that the sinister gaze quickly dissipated. This left Su Yin and the others in a daze. They felt that they had been stared at, but the divine king didn't seem to have noticed them and quietly retreated. How could this be? Tensor and the others gasped for breath. Their backs were drenched in cold sweat. They were truly frightened just now. The divine king seemed to have really stared at them. When the blood-red light dissipated and the world regained its clarity, they discovered that the terrifying specters had left. The oppressive aura between heaven and earth had also dissipated. They were searching towards the depths of the extreme Yang River. They didn't discover us. It must be the effect of this cauldron. It's hidden in the void. Even if the divine king was face to face, the divine king wouldn't be able to discover us. Yuan excitedly said, "This way, they won't be able to find us. They will definitely leave here immediately. This way, we will have the hope of killing our way out. We can only take a gamble. If we can't escape, who knows how many years it will take for this space to open again." They whispered to each other, although they knew that the other party wouldn't be able to discover them. Time flew slowly. The divine king led them to search for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, they found nothing. Roar. Sharp roars exploded. These specter experts were venting their anger. The problem was quite serious. Not only did the other party enter, but they even knew the way out. This was very troublesome and troublesome. "My lord, what should we do now?" They questioned closely. They were in a bad mood. The losses this time were great enough. But if the secret key to open the Yin-Yang road was leaked, it would be even more troublesome. Follow this road and find him even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground. The divine king let out a furious voice. He was also stunned. He searched carefully, but didn't find a trace of the expert's aura. This meant that the other party didn't use brute force to open the space. Instead, he continued to open the Yin-Yang road to smuggle himself in. Buzz. Another blood-red altar was brought out. A black specter was mumbling and spitting out a grand sacrificial sound. He was opening the Yin-Yang road. "Oh my God, there really is a road to the next Yin-Yang world. What should we do? Are we going to follow them? We're in big trouble." They didn't retreat according to the original route. Instead, they went to the next Yin-Yang galaxy. This wasn't what Su Yin and the others wanted to see. They didn't want to find out how many resources this organization had. They just wanted to leave. Damn it. Chapter 6:27. That's right. Bao Kai said fiercely. He brought out the golden iron ox statue and banners of demons. He said coldly, "With the banners of demons and the statue that can resist the divine king, we might not necessarily lose. We can only take a gamble now, or else we will really be trapped here. That's the only way. Let's prepare and take a gamble. We might not necessarily lose." They thought for a while and nodded. Their eyes flashed with ferocity. If they couldn't rush out, then they would be trapped here for an indeterminate amount of time. If they didn't take action now, it would be too late to regret it in the future. Of course, the banners of demons alone wasn't enough. The main thing was the golden iron ox statue that Baokai controlled. This statue contained the power of the Divine King. As long as they could block the Divine King for a while, they would have a chance of escaping. But what would they encounter on the other side? What would they encounter? That was an unknown, so they could only take a gamble. They could either rush out or be trapped here. They all agreed to choose the first option. In order to ensure that they could resist the power of the Divine King, Su Yin was prepared to use the broken cauldron to resist. It might really be able to defend. In the world ahead, the blood altar had been burned to the extreme. The sound of sacrifice became more and more magnificent. It rushed forward and crashed into nothingness. The nothingness boiled and surged with billowing waves. Su Yin and the others had recorded the key, but they felt that there was definitely a special chant that could affect the power of time and space. The blood altar alone was useless. It's about to open. At this moment, the space trembled violently. A blurry Yin-Yang ancient road began to appear. This was the third Yin-Yang ancient road they had seen. It didn't feel much different from the previous two. Su Yin was deeply shaken. This mysterious organization controlled the Yin-Yang ancient road. Just where did it lead? Could the next space also be a land of fortune? But how much time would it take to raise so many Yin-Yang fish? Su Yin felt that the layout here was too astonishing. It made him feel suffocated. What was the deal with the Fish King he had encountered in the past? He remembered that the Yin-Yang Fish Kings had collided and opened the underground palace where Miser was hiding. Su Yin wasn't in the mood to think about these things right now. They were all paying close attention with their eyes wide open. The Yin-Yang road became clearer and clearer. When it was completely revealed, it shone with boundless radiance. The aura of space-time pervaded the air, and ancient radiance gushed out. Go! The Divine King led them across, hoping to find the stowaways in the next space. That's a world of yin and yang. It's probably the same as this place. Even if we barge in, we won't be able to come out. Looks like we can only take the risk and capture one alive to decipher the incantation. Only then will we be able to leave this place. There's no time left. Let's kill our way over and capture the deity alive. Who knew how many people would be scared to death if they saw this scene in the outside world? After all, these 4 great Tao tier elites were attacking a divine king and 4 other gods. Even if the 4 heavenly supremes joined forces, they would still be unable to escape the misfortune of being wiped out. However, their trump cards were great, and they had a slight chance of success. They acted decisively, and the broken cauldron instantly smashed into the Yin-Yang tunnel. There's someone here. The whole world was trembling, and the Yin-Yang tunnel that was opened rumbled on its own. The instant the broken cauldron flew out, they sensed it. The Divine King in the lead was emitting a terrifying aura that overflowed into the sky. It was as if a sea of blood was being born here. Get out here! Under the fury of the blood-eyed Divine King, a boundless aura rushed out. This was the power of the Divine King's domain. It was as if millions of mountains were arranged here, brewing a fluctuation that made the world tremble. It rushed forward and hit the broken cauldron. Under the fury of the Divine King, not to mention a broken cauldron, even the Divine King's weapon was trembling uncontrollably. After all, this was a Divine King. The 4 creatures of darkness looked up to the sky and laughed. They understood that these guys were trapped inside and couldn't leave at all. It was very likely that they were in possession of some kind of terrifying and mysterious treasure that had evaded their detection just now. But now they had no choice but to come out. Boom! When the ocean-like aura of the Divine King rushed towards the broken cauldron, a loud noise shook the sky. The Yin-Yang celestial river trembled violently and was about to be torn apart. All the divine energy crashed into the broken cauldron. Su Yin and the others inside the cauldron felt the world spinning. After all, they were enduring the power of the Divine King. There were even various kinds of killing intent of the Divine King seeping in through the broken parts of the cauldron. They couldn't resist any of the Divine King's aura. The Baokai had already recovered, and the banners of demons had begun to resist. However, the broken cauldron that was rumbling and spinning didn't show any signs of being damaged or even exploding. This surprised Su Yin and the others. This was a treasure that could resist the power of the Divine King. Although there were flaws where the Divine King's power seeped in, it had already helped them resist most of the Divine King's killing intent. This secret treasure, they were very surprised that the broken cauldron wasn't destroyed. However, they didn't have time to think. They rushed forward, and the blood-eyed Divine King's hand reached out to grab the broken cauldron. Clang! Clang! All kinds of powers bombarded the broken cauldron, causing it to rumble. However, the broken cauldron walls were too sturdy and indestructible. They didn't know how it was broken in the past. The four gods and the Divine King's palms approached the broken cauldron. A golden light rushed out of the cauldron's mouth like a raging bull. It turned into a giant golden beast and let out a terrifying bull's roar. The roar of the ancient iron bull could split the heavens and earth and cause chaos to collapse. The might of the stone statue awakened, and a source of power that could kill gods surged out. The four gods trembled and spat out mouthfuls of blood. They were about to be killed by the roar of the golden iron bull. This was a very terrifying treasure that had the power to resist the Divine King. The blood-eyed Divine King's palm burst out a bloody mist from the roar. A sinister light shot out from his eyes. Endless blood-red lightning surged out of his body and struck forward. The whole world changed, turning into a world of blood-red lightning. This was the power of the Divine King's domain. It suppressed all things. The four gods, whose bodies were about to explode, stabilized their bodies. Suppress. The blood-eyed Divine King said coldly. He stood in the blood-red world, and the power of his domain surged out. The golden iron bull, who was roaring at the sky, was suppressed. Its power even rushed toward the broken cauldron again. But in the end, the blood-eyed Divine King was shocked. The broken cauldron was still intact. He could only penetrate the broken parts of the cauldron with his energy. It had to be said that this cauldron was quite heaven-defying. He had reason to suspect that this was a broken supreme treasure. He stretched out his big hand and wanted to grab the broken cauldron. However, the deity king had underestimated the power of the golden iron bull. Baokai had completely unleashed the power of the stone statue, and the golden iron bull shone brightly. Suddenly, it let out a loud roar, and countless lightning bolts burst out, shattering the entire world. Su Yin moved like lightning. He waved his hand and grabbed at the four gods whose bodies were torn apart. He wanted to steal the gods' memories and find a way to open the space. Bastard, you want to destroy the path of yin and yang. This scene completely enraged the blood-eyed Divine King. His figure was tall and terrifying. His blood-red hair danced in the wind, and a terrifying aura spread out. The Divine King's anger was earth-shattering. Even the yin-yang celestial river was on the verge of evaporating. He was too strong. It was as if a sea of blood was born, and he pushed the light of chaos into the sky. He was like a blood-red demon. When he completely erupted, the golden iron bull became dim. That was the power of the Divine King's domain. It completely suppressed the power of the stone statues. He brandished his fist and drew upon billions of blood-red lightning to bombard the broken cauldron. How terrifying! Tensor and the others were trembling. This was the Divine King. Even the aura seeping through the crack made their breathing labored. Their liver and gallbladder felt like it was being torn apart. Their bodies and minds were trembling uncontrollably. Blood was flowing out from the corners of their mouths. They were suffocating and uncomfortable. They were all on the verge of suicide. When his fist bombarded the broken cauldron, the Baokai stretched out its big round head and shook the banners of demons violently. During this process, the banners of demons' banner flapped loudly and emitted millions of layers of immortal light. This was like an immortal war banner. It resonated with the 8 imprints flashing between the Baotsai's brows. Su Yin, look, these banners of demons are too mysterious. Tensor was shocked. The Banners of Demons banner was like an ancient era, filled with the supreme aura of the demonic path. It was an incredible scene. The Banners of Demons banner turned into a condensed demonic world, surging with the unparalleled supreme aura of the demonic realm. I see a powerhouse walking out from the Banners of Demons. Suyin muttered to himself. He saw an ancient and mysterious figure with supreme majesty descending from the sky and crowding the entire world of yin and yang. It was like the supreme of the demonic realm that once looked down on the past, present, and future. It was as if it had walked out from the Banners of Demons, majestic and imposing, dominating the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and shattering the cycle of reincarnation with its roar. Su Yin was stunned. This was the power of the Banners of Demons. No wonder it was respected as the #1 treasure of the demonic realm. Was the power of the supreme of the demonic realm sealed on the Banners of Demons? Su Yin even found a terrifying power, like the power of time, that affected the cycle of reincarnation. It came from the ancient era, bringing with it a terrifying aura of time and space, making Su Yin and the others tremble. What kind of power is this? What kind of special treasure is the Banners of Demons? Why can the one who controls the Banners of Demons be the supreme of the demonic realm? Su Yin had a deep understanding of the Fist of Time, so he was relatively sensitive to this kind of aura. He was especially shocked and saw some scenes. It was as if he saw in the grand demonic realm the various races in the demonic realm worshipping this supreme of the demonic realm, revered him as the supreme of the demonic realm, representing the unparalleled supremacy of the demonic realm. The blood-eyed divine king turned pale with horror and roared, "It's still alive, it's still alive." Su Yan's scalp went numb. What did this sentence mean? Could it be that there was still a supreme of the demonic realm alive? Could it be that the Banners of Demons could awaken the supreme of the demonic realm that had been sleeping for generations? However, something even more terrifying happened. Chapter 628. This is Su Yin and the others were stunned. The first scene was enough to shock them, but now, on the banner of the Banners of Demons, it was like a condensed river of time. Powerful figures walked out one after another. Their auras were grand and mysterious, as if they had crossed over from prehistoric times. Each of them had the aura of time and space. Have the kings of the demon realm come back to life? Why do I feel like they're still alive? Su Yin and the others were shocked. They felt that they were very weak, like ants facing a real dragon. Each of the figures seemed to be supreme, illuminating the universe and suppressing time. They were like the invincible figures of the past, looking down on the world. "Ah!" Baokai screamed. The power in its body flowed back uncontrollably, and the silver force armor's energy was completely drained. The Banners of Demons had broken free from its control and started to operate on their own. Su Yin saw 8 figures appear on the banner of the Banners of Demons. They resonated with the 8 marks between Baotsai's eyebrows, filling the air with heavenly power. Baokai fainted because its power had been drained, and the 8 marks were dim. If Baokai was strong enough, then the Banners of Demons' ability to break free would be even more amazing and abnormal. However, the Banners of Demons' self-recovery was a variable. It was as if they had been awakened by the world of yin and yang. They were filled with all kinds of magnificent and domineering auras. Unbelievable. The power of the Banners of Demons is amazing. Yuan and the others murmured to themselves. The 8 figures were like 8 generations of the kings of the demon realm. It was as if they were going against the flow of time, pushing endless divine power. They saw strange scenes, and each of the kings of the demon realm was worshipped by billions of creatures in the demon realm. They walked out of the time node one after another, as if they were walking in the universe and stepping on the stars. It was hard to imagine how strong they were, or what form they were living in now. The power of the 8 supremes of the demon realm. So this is the #1 treasure of the fiend realm. No wonder the North Fiend subordinates couldn't wait to get their hands on the Banners of Demons. This thing is too evil and powerful. Once it explodes with its full power, who can stop it? Su Yin and the others were discussing in shock. The banner of the banners of demons was overturned with a supreme pressure, causing the entire yin and yang space to tremble. If this wasn't an independent world, then the aura would have definitely swallowed the heavens and swept through the vast starfield, causing huge waves in the universe. In short, the performance of the banners of demons was too shocking. Although the creatures looked very blurry, as if they were stepping on the river of time to cross over to this era, the aura they brought was already peerlessly terrifying. Pooh! The red-eyed divine king trembled after the first clash, as if he had been hit by the most horrifying attack in history. His body was on the verge of exploding. Oh my God, the divine king can't stop the banners of demons. Can this thing resist a supreme expert when it's in its peak state? Su Yin and the others exclaimed. The divine king was on the verge of exploding. He was a divine king, after all. His body was trembling, his blood was boiling, and he was spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. What was this? It was just a projection transmitted through time and space, forcing the divine king to kneel down and submit. In short, Su Yin felt that the changes in the banners of demons were definitely related to the yin-yang road. It was the road of yin-yang that had activated the banners of demons and allowed them to recover on their own. The essence of the yin and yang world had been completely absorbed when they were swallowing. A treasure of this level would require a vast amount of divine power to recover its divine might. Even though it had swallowed the essence of this world, it still couldn't recover to its peak state. But the banners of demons were terrifying enough. Even the divine king was trembling, and the blood-eyed divine king was suppressed to the point where he couldn't even raise his head. Roar! He let out a long roar, and his head of blood-colored hair danced wildly. He dispersed the darkness as a terrifying aura emerged. Finally, he revealed his full appearance. This was a creature with a sinister aura. He had black wings for arms and a tall stature. His head of blood-colored hair danced like a waterfall, making him look like a blood-colored divine demon. The divine king was about to reverse his source of life and release his peak domain power. But the power of the banners of demons wasn't something the divine king could withstand. No matter how ferocious the blood-eyed divine king's aura was, he could only tremble in the face of the banners of demons. His entire body began to tremble as it began to collapse. Even the divine king could slaughter them. The banners of demons are too terrifying. They are definitely a supreme treasure. Yuan and the others were alarmed. A supreme treasure. A supreme treasure obtained from Earth. They couldn't believe it. But when they remembered that Earth was the progenitor of the buried region, they were even more astonished. Then, could there be some unknown connection between the demon region's supreme beings and the buried region's race? In any case, the banners of demons were about to attack, and the divine king's blood was about to splatter across the vast sky. It emitted an incomparably tragic aura, and its entire body was stained with blood. It roared towards the sky, causing the entire yin-yang galaxy to tremble. Reese's avatar. Strange syllables resounded as the mysterious sacrificial voice exploded, causing the entire yin-yang galaxy to tremble. This was a very peculiar incantation that even caused the yin-yang galaxy to undulate, as if a slumbering yin-yang demon lord was awakening. Su Yin and the others had ugly expressions. They had underestimated the situation here. It was quite terrifying to be able to draw out the power of the yin-yang galaxy with a special secret technique. You shouldn't have come back alive. The blood-eyed divine king roared towards the sky, and the yin-yang galaxy's power boiled. It drew upon the power of this independent world, and was filled with a peerless might that could suppress the universe's sea of stars. It was released in a grandiose manner. It spat out 3 mouthfuls of its heart's blood, which poured onto the yin-yang galaxy. The blood-eyed divine king's aura also declined sharply, but the yin-yang galaxy was revived. It interweaved together and actually formed a yin-yang road, which surged with terrifying bloody light. Mother of Asterisk Kerr, what the hell is this? Yuan cursed as he looked at the yin and yang path. It was like a door that led to hell, and blood-red colored lights sprayed out from within while red-colored gales swept about, causing the aura it emanated to be cold and savage. Like the return of a demon lord from hell, a huge shadow appeared at the end of the yin-yang road. It was ancient and mysterious, powerful and terrifying. Countless great blood-colored stars revolved around him, and the sun and moon revolved around his hair. It was as if the demon lord of hell had returned. Its figure was enormous, and it was unknown how many tens of thousands of zhang tall it was. It slowly walked over from the end of the yin-yang road. This was like the release of a divine ability, or an irregular phenomenon, or the awakening of an imprint left behind by the yin-yang world. In short, the world was shaking violently. It was like the demon lord of hell that had broken free from its shackles. It emitted a vast fluctuation and charged towards the banners of demons with its matchless heavenly might. Wang, the dilapidated cauldron shone, and Su Yin and the others erupted with their most powerful defensive methods. They used everything they could to repair the cauldron's flaws. That was because once this kind of collision occurred, it would be extremely dangerous. It was very likely that they would be shaken to death. How long? The cauldron was shaking violently. The banners of demons and the yin-yang road carried out a world-shaking collision. It was as if the seas of two universes were colliding, and the power was earth-shattering. The primal chaos here collapsed, and the world was destroyed. The world was shattered in destruction, and new world fragments were born. The degree of savagery was difficult to measure. Tensor and the others spat out blood. The tremors derived from the collision were too powerful. If it wasn't for the dilapidated cauldron being invincible, they would definitely have exploded into a bloody mist. Wang, Su Yin opened his martial Dao heavenly eye. After experiencing the boundless tribulation, his heavenly eye had also changed. Even his primordial spirit was almost cultivated to the domain of void refinement and Dao integration. His martial Dao heavenly eye was even stronger, and it was suffused with the light of the great Dao. Was it going to cultivate Dao comprehension heavenly eye and great Dao heavenly eye to coexist? Su Yan's golden pupils shot out divine light in all directions. The scene of the battle was still blurry, but Su Yin saw that the yin-yang world was distorting, and some cracks had appeared. This made him ecstatic. Su Yin could feel the vastness of the outside world through the cracks. Chance. They didn't need to enter the next yin-yang world now. They could cross the shattered world and leave. Bang! The dilapidated cauldron rushed up and approached the shattered region. Roar! The blood-eyed divine king roared, wanting to rush up and stop Su Yin and the others. But in the face of such a peerless collision, the weakened blood-eyed divine king couldn't rush up immediately. This made it roar angrily. Once Su Yin and the others escaped, it would be very difficult to find them in a short period of time. Let's go. The banners of demons have returned. The banners of demons poured all their energy into the dilapidated cauldron and flew into the bout-sized forehead. Where do you think you're going? The blood-eyed divine king's blood-red hair danced wildly. It roared angrily and rushed up to stop them. At present, the impact of the collision was decreasing, and the divine king had hope of rushing up to stop Su Yin. But this yin-yang world was very special. The shattered cracks began to heal on their own. However, Su Yin revealed his true body and took away the dilapidated cauldron. Then he used shrinking earth to cross space and rushed out of the yin-yang road. Ha ha ha! Su Yin was laughing loudly. He rushed out as if he was in an abyss, sprinting towards the peak. This road was a bit far. Su Yin used shrinking earth to cross it frantically. He wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. In the end, what made Su Yin pale was that he saw another yin-yang river. However, this yin-yang river was relatively weak. Su Yin had drilled into the river from underground. Because of his swift movements, huge splashes appeared on the river surface. Who is it? A panicked voice sounded. Su Yin was pleasantly surprised. There was nothing better than meeting a living person. When Su Yin rushed out of the river, he was a bit dazed. In front of him was a white body with sparkling skin and a graceful figure bathing in the river. This, Su Yan's eyes widened. The scene in front of him was quite abrupt. Her skin was snow white, sparkling and lustrous, filled with endless temptation. Her glossy black hair was wet and draped over her shoulders and down to her waist. Her proud figure was naked. Before Su Yan could see everything, he almost had a nosebleed. This erotic scene was too ecstatic. Pervert, the woman screamed. She was terrified and used energy to transform her clothes. Chapter 629. In this region, even in this starfield, there were many powerful races that had set up Tao temples. The starfield was also relatively vast, and there were many ancient life stars. It was one of the more powerful starfields in the universe. Every starfield had billions of living beings, and it was difficult to calculate the number of living beings. This starfield was close to the Z-Way starfield. No one could forget the incident that happened 3 or 4 years ago. Although it had already been 3 or 4 years, people often talked about it. That was the fall of the Divine King, the anger of a powerful being, and supreme treasures that displayed matchless divine might. But in the end, the divine spiritual mountain range was sealed. The various peak races jointly issued a decree that no race's experts were allowed to approach the divine spiritual mountain range. Even the bipolar star was turned into a forbidden land, guarded by the various peak races' experts. Too many things had happened during that time, and only now did things calm down. After all, this was the source of the eruption. So how could people not be alarmed? 1. A terrifying aura spread out. Energy overflowed into the sky, and a sea of blood spread out. It was relatively sudden and terrifying, spreading through the entire ancient life star in a short time. It made millions of living beings tremble, and many great Tao realm experts were scared. This was the Divine King's aura, and it also revealed a cold, killing intent. It caused a great collapse, scattering the clouds in all directions and sweeping through all wastelands. The Divine King has come. He's releasing killing intent. The entire ancient life star was quiet. Who didn't know how terrifying the Divine King was? Even the ruler of this ancient life star, the Liang family, felt as if they were facing a great enemy. This was because the source of the eruption was very close to their clan. To be more precise, it was the land under their clan's jurisdiction, and it also belonged to their resource lands. This matter made the elders of the clan pale. Not good. Yun crushed the life-saving token. The Liang family was also a famous and powerful clan. Their inheritance was also considered ancient, and their ancestral land covered an area of millions of miles. Rosy clouds rose, releasing auspicious light. There were many experts in the clan, and there were also heavenly deities overseeing them. The Liang family was fully awakened. After all, the Divine King's killing intent had awakened not far from their ancestral land. This made the Liang family feel as if they were facing a great enemy. Of course, they weren't afraid of the Divine King. The Liang family was a clan with an ancient inheritance, so they also had a relatively strong foundation. What? Did something happen to Yin? The clan was in an uproar. Liang Yan's grandfather, Liang, had a huge change in expression. The destination was a place that Liang Yan often went to for relaxation. It was a yin-yang celestial river that was about to dry up, but that place was under the influence of the Liang family. The Divine King is targeting Yin? That's impossible. The Divine King will not target Yin anymore. With Yan's temperament, she will never provoke an enemy. The elders in the clan were shocked. A powerful expert with a terrifying aura shouted, "Investigate immediately. Our clan didn't provoke the Divine King. There might be some misunderstanding. Let's try peaceful means before resorting to force. In short, we can't let anything happen to Yun." Could it be the work of that person's enemy? Someone suddenly thought of something. The Liang family had never provoked the Divine King. Yun was a woman and a genius in alchemy. She would never provoke the Divine King. That's very likely. No matter what, Yun can't be harmed in our territory. The Liang family's ancestral land trembled as a large number of experts rushed out. Of course, They didn't dare to release their killing intent. After all, this was the Divine King. Moreover, they hadn't figured out the specific situation yet. The Divine King came into the world with killing intent. Earth and rocks collapsed in the direction of the source. Many forces were laughing at the Liang family. They felt that the Divine King was targeting the Liang family. In an area thousands of miles away from the source, it was very quiet. Su Yin took Liang Yan to hide in a vicious beast cave and suppressed it with a broken cauldron. Liang Yan was both embarrassed and angry. She was bathing, but someone suddenly came out and saw her naked. This made Liang Yan very embarrassed and angry. She thought that someone was spying on her and wanted to kidnap her. In the end, Liang Yan didn't expect it to be Su Yin. However, Su Yin carried her and ran away. This made Liang Yan's face turn black. She, who had always been gentle, was also embarrassed and angry. The situation just now was unforgettable. The Divine King. But the Divine King's appearance caused Liang Yan to be shocked and afraid. If Su Yin hadn't carried her and ran away, then the killing intent that the Divine King released would have been enough to destroy Liang Yan's body and soul. But how could the Divine King come into being in a nearly dried-up yin-yang sky river? Even Su Yin had come out. This person had caused a great storm in the past year. Because of him, even the Supreme Elders had taken action. Because of Su Yin, the races of the buried region had also bathed the ancient path of the starry skies in blood. The Ancestral Hall had even issued the strongest decree, offering a bounty for 3 Divine King armaments. In short, the current Su Yin was a legendary character with boundless glory. He enjoyed a lofty status amongst the younger generation and was on the same level as the Sun Dome. In the future, he will have a great chance of rising. Of course, Su Yan's rise was also related to Liang Yan. Now that this legendary character of the younger generation had come out from underground, then the Divine King must have come out to hunt down Su Yin. Liang Yan especially wanted to know just what Su Yin had experienced in these past years. But because of what had happened before, Liang Yan was embarrassed and angry. She wished she could immediately leave this place and never see Su Yin again in her life. That the Divine King is truly terrifying, Su Yin said after holding back for a long time. This made Liang Yan go crazy. She was wearing a light blue dress and looked cultured and elegant. She was a woman who was gentle to the bone. She was elegant and had a unique temperament. That scared me to death. I was almost caught by the Divine King. Su Yin scratched his head and whispered, "What is the origin of that yin-yang sky river?" To be honest, Su Yin was shocked. They had entered the yin-yang sky river from the Big Dipper star field's Big Dipper star field. But when they arrived at the next yin-yang sky river, their destination was actually thousands of star fields away. Who would dare to believe it? Su Yin felt that the yin-yang road was very similar to the Heavenly Mountain's power. They were equally terrifying and mysterious. Su Yin found it hard to believe. Just what was the origin of this mysterious organization? And where did the other yin-yang roads lead to? Liang Yan was still embarrassed and angry, but she still said in a muffled voice, "It's hard to determine how long it has existed. In the past, it was especially dangerous. Cultivators who entered it had a hard time coming out alive." Su Yin thought of some ancient rumors. Once the extreme Yin River appeared, it indicated danger. One couldn't explore it too deeply. Otherwise, one would be buried in it. Liang Yan had also entered it out of curiosity, but she didn't encounter any danger. Over time, Liang Yan became bolder. After all, the yin-yang sky river was like a taboo. Very few people came to that place. But this time, Liang Yan felt that because of her boldness and curiosity, she had almost lost herself. It was as if her whole body didn't belong to her. This made her heart beat faster, and her cheeks blushed. She had a beauty that could overshadow the moon and shame the flowers. Her face couldn't be considered stunning, but it was as gentle as water. She was like a lady from a noble family, gentle and moving. So that's how it is. I can't go there in the future. The Divine King has already killed his way out. Su Yin laughed mischievously. Fortunately, it was Liang Yan. If it was a stranger, he really wouldn't know how to explain it. He would really be labeled as a peeping Tom. The more Su Yin spoke, the angrier Liang Yan became. She didn't dare to look at Su Yin directly. Sister Yan, how did you guys come out from the calamity of the divine, spiritual mountain range? Su Yin changed the topic. He wasn't going to leave now. Who knew if the divine king had left? If the divine king was lying in wait, he would definitely be caught red-handed once he appeared. What Su Yin didn't know was that a large number of experts from the Liang clan had rushed out and were rushing in the direction of the source. This place was completely destroyed. Many mountains had caved in. The divine king's destructive power was too great. Many experts from the Liang clan felt their hair stand on end. They could clearly sense that the divine king's remnant cold, killing intent. They felt that Liang Yan wouldn't be able to anger the divine king. Something else must have happened. Go and find her. Follow the fluctuations of the safety token and search. Liang was frantically searching. This was the Liang clan's territory. If Liang Yan was really safe, it wouldn't be difficult to find her. Su Yin was in a great mood. In short, he had escaped. The sky was high and the birds could fly freely. Liang Yan also slowly calmed down. After all, Su Yin's actions just now were unintentional and couldn't be considered offensive. If Su Yin hadn't acted in time, she might have been buried under the divine king's fury. My clan's people might be looking for me. I can't stay here for long. Liang Yan suddenly thought of something. She frowned slightly and said, I think it's best if you don't leak out. She knew that the Ancestral Hall had increased the bounty to 5 Divine King's weapons. What kind of shocking number was this? To any clan, this was a fatal temptation, even if it was a peak clan. If the Liang clan knew that Su Yin was here, there was no guarantee that others would report him. Although Su Yin had a good relationship with Liang Yan, he had nothing to do with the Liang clan. Su Yin nodded and changed his appearance slightly. It was already nighttime, so the Divine King shouldn't have been waiting for him until now. Even if he was discovered, Su Yin had the broken cauldron and wouldn't be helpless. I'll take you back to the clan first. Su Yin brought Liang Yan across space. Along the way, they found many experts searching for Liang Yan. Right, aren't you in the Big Dipper Starfield? At this moment, Liang Yan recalled the scene where Su Yin left her at the clan. She couldn't help but ask curiously, why are you here? Su Yin was just about to answer when his expression suddenly changed. How did you know I was in the Big Dipper Starfield? Liang Yan was surprised by Su Yin's attitude. She replied, rumor has it that you obtained the supreme imprint of the Big Dipper Starfield. What? Who said that? Su Yin was aghast. This matter was troublesome. Whether or not the news was baseless, it wouldn't be good for Hokuto if it got out. The problem was serious, and it had just happened recently. Liang Yan had paid attention to it because it was related to Su Yin. The news suddenly spread. Could it be? Su Yin's expression was ugly. If the news really got out, it was either the Big Dipper Starfield's enemy or its own people. Could it be Han Jinyuan and the others? His heart sank. If the Ancestral Hall knew about this, they would definitely head to Hokuto. Chapter 630. Liang Yan keenly noticed that Su Yin's movements began to speed up. Something's wrong. Su Yin was extremely anxious. After all, this place was extremely far away from the Big Dipper Star region. Liang Yan's information was delayed greatly, so she couldn't obtain first-hand information. Su Yin felt that he had to leave this place as soon as possible and head to the Big Dipper Star region to investigate the situation. After all, Bamboo Moon and the old Star Lord had risked their lives to save him. Su Yin had to go back. This was a fatal calamity that targeted him. No matter what happened, he had to stand out. Liang Yan wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't say anything. The rumors should be true. Hokuto must have taken Su Yin away. Something must have happened, and Su Yin must have come here. But no matter what, the matter had already been leaked. Would the Ancestral Hall let Hokuto off so easily? Back in the Divine Mountain Range, the 2 tribes had suffered great losses because of Su Yin. They definitely wouldn't let it go. Perhaps they would really attack Hokuto. Su Yin, my grandfather is looking for me. At this moment, Liang Yan saw Liang, who was frantically searching for her. The old man was so anxious that he stomped his feet and cursed. He only had one precious granddaughter. If something happened to her, He really didn't know how to explain it. Moreover, they didn't know where the divine king, who had suddenly appeared, was. "Grandfather, I'm here," Liang Yan hurriedly called out. She didn't expect that missing for a day would cause the Liang family to mobilize so many people. "Yan!" Liang Liang's body shook when he saw Liang Yan walking out of the space. His face was filled with ecstasy as he laughed and scolded. "Little girl, where did you run off to? You scared me. There was an accident just now, so I hid," Liang Yan said with a smile. "I'm fine now. I made you worry for nothing. As long as you're fine, as long as you're fine." Liang Liang laughed loudly. The nearby cultivators who were searching for her also came over. They had also been scared out of their wits. Yan has been found. There were experts who released their primordial spirit wills that spread out for tens of thousands of li. This region erupted with commotion. All types of strange beasts and generals hurried over. They were all disciples of the Liang family. The great stone weighing down on their hearts finally relaxed. Liang Yan felt a little embarrassed and hurriedly apologized. He did not expect that his family would send out an entire army to search for him. There was even a terrifying aura in the distance. It was a deity from the Liang family. Liang Yan hurriedly went forward and bowed. She was not too surprised. After all, when the divine king had appeared, the Liang family was on high alert. The deity had come out of seclusion to preside over the situation. In the past, because of the divine king's wrath, a family had been reduced to mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Although the Liang family also had their own background, they really didn't want to provoke the divine king. They didn't want to bring a calamity to their family. "That's good." This deity's hair and beard were all white. His words were like a golden bell, shaking the mountains and rivers. He carried a great dignity. His status in the Liang family was extremely high, and he was about to step into the realm of heavenly deities. At the same time, he looked into the void and said indifferently, "Dao friend, since you've come, why don't you quickly show yourself?" Su Yin laughed bitterly in his heart. Just now, Liang Yan had appeared out of desperation, and this deity had already noticed him. Liang Liang and the others were all stunned. They saw a white-clothed man walk out from the void. They felt a bit strange. Just now, they had not noticed Su Yin at all. However, there were even more elders who were astonished. They looked at Liang Yan and Su Yin. How could a young man and woman be together in private? Could it be? Junior Tai Shan greets Senior. Su Yin bowed respectfully. His words made Liang Yan's face darken. Back then, Su Yin had turned into Xia Kunlun and caused them quite a bit of trouble. Of course, because of Xia Kunlun's matter, the two could be considered to have formed a good relationship. "Fellow Taoist, you don't have to be so polite." This deity nodded slightly. Liang Zhiqing's words caused a commotion among the elders in the clan. The deity had called this young man fellow Taoist. Could Su Yin be a deity? But wasn't he too young? Liang Zhiqing could not see through Su Yin, which made him attach great importance to this young man. For him to have such cultivation at such a young age, he was definitely not a nobody. If Liang Yan had not taken the initiative to appear just now, Liang Zhiqing would not have noticed Su Yin at all. Therefore, he was certain that his strength was not to be underestimated. "Senior, you were too polite. I just happened to pass by and help Liang Yan." Su Yin replied, "I don't know why that divine king was angry just now. I was worried that an accident would happen, so I brought Liang Yan a hide. I have made all of you worry for nothing. It's really a sin." "Yes, elder." Liang Yan also said, "I was meditating nearby just now. As a result, there was a huge earthquake below the Yin-Yang Sky River. If this fellow Taoist had not helped me, I would have been in danger." Su Yin clenched his fists. Liang Yan said that she was meditating, which made Su Yin unable to help but recall the previous scene. For a moment, he was a little absent-minded. "Haha, I see. May I know which clan this fellow Taoist is from?" Liang Liang hurriedly went up to thank Su Yin, but Liang Liang was slightly stunned by his absent-mindedness. The atmosphere here was a little strange. He felt that this young man was thinking about something. Under the atmosphere, Su Yin quickly came back to his senses. He secretly observed and noticed Liang Yan's embarrassed and angry look. She felt that Su Yin must have been thinking nonsense just now. She was angry and embarrassed in her heart. This scene happened to be noticed by a group of old monsters around. They had all lived for a long time and had already become shrewd. They began to doubt their identities. Could it be that these two people were having a relationship? Fellow Taoists, I still have important matters to attend to. I will not stay any longer. I will take my leave first. Su Yin immediately had a lot on his mind. It was not easy to get to the Big Dipper Star region as quickly as possible. He had to use the interdomain teleportation formation. Wait a minute. Liang Zhiqing waved his hand. The aura of the Divine King filled the air and faintly sealed the area. He said, "Fellow Taoist, forgive me for offending you. No matter what, my clan cannot bear the anger of the Divine King. If the Divine King comes again, I need an explanation." He suspected that Su Yin had angered the Divine King. Even Su Yin and Liang Yan's situation was a little special. Explanation? Su Yin frowned slightly and said, "What do you need me to explain? I just happened to pass by." "Elder, the Divine King is not here because of this fellow Taoist," Liang Yan hurriedly said. She knew that Su Yin had important matters to attend to. Moreover, with Su Yan's resolute attitude, she really did not want the Liang clan to be unhappy with him. "I did not ask you," Liang Zhiqing snorted. "Yan, the clan is discussing your marriage. You should stay in the clan obediently. You must know that this person has a great background. You must cherish him." Liang smiled bitterly and did not know what to say. This was a long story. Back then, something big happened in the divine spiritual mountains. Even some of the ancient clans in the Chaos Ruins were alarmed. Some powerful giants rushed out, and even a few extremely shocking young people came here. However, someone took a fancy to Liang Yan. The Liang clan also wanted them to become Taoist companions. Just now, her and Su Yan's expressions touched their nerves. No matter what, this young man was very scary. The Liang clan would not give up. "I really do not have any other relationship with this fellow Taoist." Liang Yan's eyes were a little red. Now that she suddenly felt wronged, she could swallow it. However, the more she acted like this, the more dissatisfied Liang Zhiqing was. He glared at her. "I did not ask you. Senior, what is it that you have to do? You may as well say it directly." Su Yin took a deep breath and said, "But now, I really have important matters to attend to. Time waits for no one. Fellow Taoists, if there is really nothing, I must leave now. If I have offended you in any way, I will come and apologize in the future. What if I want you to stay for 3 days?" Liang Zhiqing said. No matter what, he was still a god. This was the Liang clan's territory. There were some things that he wanted to clarify immediately. Not even for a moment. "Senior, I really have something to do." Su Yin frowned, and his tone became tough. He did not want anything unpleasant to happen with the Liang clan, and he did not want to make things difficult for Liang Yan. "Fellow Taoist, what is so important? Just say it. Can the Liang clan do it for you?" Liang Zhiqing was getting more and more annoyed. The experts of the Liang clan nearby were also on high alert. They were not happy with this young man's tone. A god wanted him to stay for 3 days, but he could not. Moreover, the Liang clan would not do anything to him. "I'm afraid you can't do it." Su Yan's words were not polite anymore. "How dare you? How dare you speak like that? Do you know who is in front of you? He is a god." Some of the young people were enraged. The Liang clan was also a famous clan. Even the experts of the peak clans would not be so rude to the Liang clan. Seeing the white-robed man standing in the space, Liang Zhiqing laughed and said, "What a good Tai Shan. Although I don't know who you are, your confidence is really big. I'm not talented, but I'd like to experience the means of my fellow Taoist." After saying that, Liang Zhiqing's aura became terrifying. The aura of a god filled the air. He was not old, and his combat power was still at the peak of his strength. "Elder, you can't." Liang Yan's beautiful face turned pale. No matter what, Su Yin was an expert of the Great Path Realm. It was impossible for him to defeat a god. However, if Su Yan's whereabouts were exposed, the consequences would be serious. It was very likely to lead to a series of major events. "Shut up." Liang Zhiqing snorted coldly. The shock made Liang Yan feel dizzy and almost fall to the ground. Su Yan's eyes flashed with a touch of coldness. He shouted, "Senior, don't be so aggressive. If you are not willing to stay for 3 days, then as long as you can withstand one of my attacks, I will let you go." Liang Zhiqing suddenly stepped forward, and the aura around his body became more and more powerful. After all, he was a god. There was no need to say much about his combat power. A gentle wave of his hand was enough to shake mountains and valleys, and an extremely powerful destructive force emerged. Liang Yan smiled bitterly. He did not expect things to turn out this way. Isn't this guy a little too arrogant? He rejected the invitation of our clan's god again and again. Yes, if it weren't for Yan, I wouldn't have said these words to him. There will be a good show to watch. I want to know how he will deal with this. If I were him, I would not say a word and obediently stay in our clan for a month. The people of the Liang family also sneered. This person was most likely someone who could be bullied, but not cowed. How powerful was a god's power? They saw Su Yan's young appearance. Could he resist a god? It was difficult to imagine how difficult it was. How could Su Yan do it? However, Su Yan's reply next stunned Liang and the others. "Since Senior insists, I have no choice but to embarrass myself." Su Yan's essence, energy, and spirit were completely different. His aura became terrifying, and he was like a young master standing in a void, looking down at the world with disdain. Chapter 631. Many young disciples of the Liang clan were so shocked that their jaws dropped. They stuttered and didn't know what to say. One had to know that he was facing Liang Zhiqing, an immortal. There was no doubt about the strength of immortals. They enjoyed a lofty status in the various star zones, and even among the pinnacle races. Every immortal had a great prestige. It was almost impossible for the younger generation to provoke them. It was rumored that even the star zones' supreme beings with the strongest life forms in the ancient star zones would find it very difficult to fight against immortals. Perhaps only heavenly supremes would have some hope. However, there were only 4 heavenly supremes in the universe now. Such characters were really too rare. But now, Su Yan had replied in such a tone. Although his aura was faintly terrifying, as if he was an elite who was about to soar into the sky, they didn't think that Su Yan was really qualified to fight against an immortal. Liang Zhiqing was a little silent. He looked at Su Yan, the power of immortals gushing out from his body. Su Yan's reply also stunned him, but it was more of a displeasure. After all, he was an immortal. No matter how great Su Yan's background was, he shouldn't be underestimated. He shouldn't be disrespectful to immortals. No, Liang Yan was anxious, and her beautiful face turned pale. She admitted that Su Yan was strong. However, immortals weren't something that great Dao realm cultivators could compare to. No matter how fast Su Yan's cultivation was, it was impossible for him to enter the realm of immortals in a short few years. If Su Yan was defeated, it probably wouldn't be as simple as 3 days. She knew that Su Yan really had urgent matters to attend to now. She really didn't want Su Yan and the Liang clan to have any disagreements, let alone it was because of her. "Elder, he really has urgent matters to attend to," Liang Yan explained. However, the more she explained, the more Liang Zhiqing felt that the relationship between Liang Yan and Su Yan was definitely not simple. If this spread out, it wouldn't have a good impact. Which young man was very powerful and couldn't tolerate sand in his eyes. Everyone in the Liang clan also attached great importance to this marriage. "Fellow cultivator, you're really courageous." Although Liang Zhiqing looked a bit old, the blood energy within his body didn't decline at all. When the aura of a divine being filled the air, even the starry skies of the universe trembled. Although he hadn't stepped into the realm of heavenly deity yet, there was no doubt about Liang Zhiqing's strength. "Since Senior wants to see what I'm capable of, I dare not hold back," Su Yan replied. He also wanted to know how big of a gap there was between him and a deity. Su Yan's cultivation in the great Dao realm had already reached a certain level. Although he had yet to reach perfection, as long as he accumulated enough, he would be able to cross over. Boom! Liang Zhiqing's aura finally erupted. The mountains and rivers trembled, and a rumbling sound resounded within a radius of 10,000 miles. This was an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation that swept out, shaking the entire vast region. How terrifying! The emotions of the Liang family's people surged. This was the release of a deity's power, causing their hearts to feel heavy. They felt as if they were about to disintegrate. A deity was considerably powerful. If he couldn't control his own power in a fit of anger, this great region would be plunged into misery and suffering. Take this. Liang Zhiqing's palm directly struck out, forming a huge palm imprint that pressed down on Su Yan. I've learned my lesson. Su Yan's shoulder-length hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were sharp and intimidating. His might became even more terrifying, resembling a demonic god soaring through the sky. In that short moment of brilliance, he became extremely frightening. He spewed out light flames, and his battle physique instantly blazed. For a time, the expressions of the experts who were prepared to see Su Yan make a fool of himself all changed. In fact, many juniors felt as if they had fallen into a furnace. The blood essence in their bodies started to dry up as Su Yan recovered. Even the great Dao realm experts turned pale with fright. There was astonishment in the depths of their eyes. It was as if they had seen a true dragon soaring through the sky, as if a young divine king had erupted. His aura swallowed the starry sky, and his blood essence spread out. After cultivating in seclusion for so many years, Su Yan's transformation was too great. He was extremely like a young master. When he waved his fist, his strength spread out, destroying space. Boom! A loud explosion rang out, shaking the heavens. Everyone saw Liang Zhiqing's palm and Su Yan's fist colliding, shaking this territory. Many people were sent flying out uncontrollably. Liang was shocked. Why did he feel as if two gods were fighting? Who on earth is he? The Liang clan's elders were all shocked. Even if Su Yan was defeated, he was still worthy of their respect for him to possess such battle prowess at such a young age. Only after the confrontation ended did the aura that suffocated them retract. Senior is really powerful. Junior admits defeat. Amidst the destruction, Su Yan walked out. Blood splattered from his fist, and his face was a little pale. Young man, you're not simple. Liang Zhiqing retracted his palm and stared at Su Yan. There was a hint of strangeness in his eyes, and his attitude also became much gentler. Senior, you're too kind. Since we've already exchanged our moves, I'll take my leave first. Su Yan cupped his hands and looked at Liang Yan. After smiling at her, his figure slowly disappeared. After Su Yan left, the silent disciples of the Liang clan were in an uproar. He had actually blocked Liang Zhiqing's divine power. Could this young man be a god? Facing the questioning of a Liang clan, Liang Zhiqing slowly said, he should be a god. Who on earth is this young man, Yan? To be able to cultivate to such a level at such a young age, he's not simple. I really don't know. Liang Yan smiled bitterly. Su Yan was a god? She didn't believe it. If he was really a god, how could Su Yan be injured with his strength? Sigh. Liang Zhiqing sighed slightly and said, Yan, you're on your own. Liang Zhiqing disappeared, and Liang Yan looked at the place where Su Yan had left in a daze. The Liang clan's people were still discussing, but some people felt that even if Liang Zhiqing was a god, he might not be strong enough. After all, Liang Zhiqing was not young. That woman is not bad. She should have shown her strength and potential just now. In the broken cauldron, Yuan had already woken up when they were fighting just now. She saw everything clearly and felt that Liang Yan was not a bad woman. She even felt that Su Yan was not young anymore and should think about his marriage. Hearing this, Su Yan smiled bitterly. He deliberately got injured because he didn't want to embarrass Liang Zhiqing so that he could leave smoothly. However, when he fought with the god spirit, he could clearly sense that Liang Zhiqing's body contained a terrifying god spirit's power. If they really fought, Su Yan felt that there was a huge possibility that both sides would be injured without relying on any secret techniques or items. After all, a god was still a god. The power in his body was too strong. However, if he only relied on his physical strength, Su Yin was not afraid of Liang Jiqing. Cultivation companion. In the past 10 years, he had been through a lot of bloodshed. How could he have a peaceful life? He felt that it was too extravagant and had one more thing to worry about. I can only go with the flow now. When I'm truly strong, I'll be able to break through the undercurrent and dominate everything. Su Yan's eyes were filled with determination and ambition. He still had important matters to attend to. He wondered how the Big Dipper Star region was doing. The Baokai was still in a deep slumber. He had suffered heavy losses. It would be difficult for the Baokai to wake up in a short period of time. The banners of demons were terrifying, but he would not use them if he could. The damage to the human body was severe. You guys stay in the cauldron. I'm going to the Z-Way Star region now, and think of a way to cross to the Big Dipper Star region. Su Yin moved quickly. He was not far from the Z-Way Star. He wanted to gather information there and even cross to the Big Dipper Star region from here. The journey was long, and he did not have a huge battleship that could cross the star regions. If he wanted to reach the Big Dipper Star region in a short period of time, he could only use the inter-region transportation formation. Usually, only the peak tribes would be willing to activate such a transportation formation. Or perhaps, only the Cosmos Business Alliance would be willing to activate it. The Z-Way Star was the strongest ancient star with life in the Z-Way Star region. In the past, Su Yin had come here before and knew the general direction. When he was about to reach the Z-Way Star, he saw a dormant purple star that was filled with terrifying air currents. A mark was faintly discernible on Su Yan's forehead. That was the Big Dipper mark. The Big Dipper was once the strongest ancient star with life. Even though it had sunk, the Big Dipper mark was still powerful enough to release the power of the great Tao of the star region. Su Yin did his best to suppress the Big Dipper mark. He was already close to the Z-Way Star. He could sense the Z-Way Star even from far away. Vast life essence surged out from it, and it was also filled with the suffocating pressure of the great Tao. Su Yin released his aura. There was no need to conceal his battle prowess here. The stronger one's battle prowess was, the more they would be valued. A young great Tao realm expert has come. Fellow Taoist, where do you want to go? What is your purpose in coming to the Z-Way Star? What sect or faction do you belong to? A group of guards came forward to interrogate Su Yin. Their attitude was still considered friendly. With Su Yan's cultivation, they wouldn't be rash. Such a young, great Tao realm expert definitely didn't have a simple background. Su Yin said that he wanted to go to the Z-Way City to trade for treasures at the Cosmos Business Alliance. Every cultivator who entered the Z-Way Star would be registered. If they wanted to enter, they had to pay a certain amount of Heaven's Essence Stones. If they exceeded the time limit, there would be enforcement teams chasing after them. The strongest ancient star with life was really a treasure trove. The various powerful clans also wanted their disciples to come here to cultivate, but the cost of buying a year was extremely high. Small factions couldn't afford it at all. Take care, brother. If the time limit is up, you can directly buy the time from the City Lord Manor. These guards are all smiles. Su Yin was very generous, directly buying a year. Su Yin arrived at the Z-Way Star very smoothly. There were many regions in the Z-Way Star that outsiders couldn't enter. Otherwise, they would be killed. This wasn't a warning, but a direct killing. The strongest ancient star with life had a foundation so terrifying that it could resist a major existence. Why would it fear the factions in the world? Su Yin arrived at the Z-Way City with ease. Back then, he had even participated in an auction here. In this city in the sky, even great Tao realm experts didn't dare to be too high profile. This was because one could often see gods walking around the streets, meeting with friends, and buying and selling treasures. There was an endless stream of people coming and going in the city. Su Yin started to get closer to the Cosmos Business Alliance at an extremely fast speed. Here in the Cosmos Business Alliance, there was a cross-realm teleportation formation. As long as one had enough money, they could activate it. However, Su Yin didn't expect to come to the Cosmos Business Alliance. Just as he asked about the cross-realm teleportation formation, the guard beside him smiled and asked, "Brother, are you preparing to go to the Big Dipper Star region to watch the battle?" Chapter 632. In the richly ornamented hall, the cultivators gathered were all experts with powerful auras. Even deities could be seen. After all, it was impossible to use the inter-region transfer formation without some status. Even the poorer Great Tao realm experts would find it difficult to pay the fee. Even with the inter-region transfer formation, it was extremely difficult to cross over many star regions, let alone Su Yin, who was going to cross over 1,000 star regions and come to the distant Big Dipper star region. However, most of the people in this hall were experts heading to the Big Dipper star region. This made Su Yan's heart tremble. What were they going to the Big Dipper star region for? There were many discussions in the hall. Many experts from various forces were communicating privately, discussing a young expert who had vanished without a trace. Su Yan had disappeared for several years. However, Madman Su, who had killed his way into the Divine Spirit Mountain Range and angered even an Almighty, was still a rising star of the burial region. Even though several years had passed, the impact of what had happened back then was still huge. This was especially so for the Z-Way star region, which was the source of the incident. Su Yin, who had vanished without a trace, had revealed himself. According to the rumors in the outside world, Su Yin had suddenly become the young paragon of the Big Dipper star region. The commotion caused by this was quite shocking, and it had spread to all the major star regions. After all, the Big Dipper star region was the strongest ancient star with life in the last universe era. Even if the Big Dipper star had sunk, the Big Dipper source Great Tao of the Big Dipper star was still extremely terrifying. Su Yan's battle prowess was strong enough, and now that he had the help of the Big Dipper source Great Tao imprint, he had angered both the Ancestral Palace and the Dark Nether race. Of course, it was very difficult to verify this matter now. However, the rumors were getting more and more ridiculous. There were even rumors that the one who had rescued Su Yin back then was an expert from Hokuto. There were also rumors that were even more ridiculous that Hokuto had formed an alliance with the burial region. No matter what, the Big Dipper star region had become a group of forces that were at the center of the storm in just a month's time, attracting the attention of all the major star regions. After all, this concerned the survival of a force, and it was even a peak force in the past. I wonder how many treasures are there in the Big Dipper star region if it is really breached. Some people were discussing in secret. This was a small group of adventurers, and they were very jealous of the treasures in the Big Dipper star region. After all, they had once been at the peak of their glory days, and they wanted to take advantage of the situation. Everyone kicks a man who is down. If the Big Dipper starfield were to face a life and death crisis, there would definitely be many forces and experts who would covet their treasures. Don't speak blindly. We don't know the exact situation yet, but what we can confirm is that the Ancestral Hall will definitely send out troops in a fit of rage. Don't forget that their Starry Sky Road was bathed in blood, and they have been searching the entire world for the powerhouses of the buried region. Now that Su Yin has surfaced, the Ancestral Hall will not let go of this opportunity. The current situation was that the Ancestral Hall was suppressing a ball of raging flames. Even the powerful beings were enraged. They had lost too much prestige and needed to establish their might. Now that Hokuto had surfaced, the Ancestral Hall might very well make an example out of Hokuto. However, no one knew exactly how things would develop. Most importantly, the identity of the Northern Dipper Sovereign was still a mystery. Do you see that? Even the pinnacle races are about to collapse. Some elders were educating their outstanding disciples. How strong was the Big Dipper star region in the past? They were one of the top 10 clans. What about now? They're in danger of extinction at any time. Moreover, even the current Hokuto is not something our race can compare to. Many people sighed as the younger generation clenched their fists. Those without a solid foundation could only be bullied. On the other hand, if Hokuto was a powerful being, the Ancestral Hall would not dare to attack rashly. Now, the entire world was in an uproar. This matter was huge, and Hokuto was in danger of being wiped out at every turn. Su Yan's breathing was heavy. The situation was bad. Since so many people were joining in on the fun, the Ancestral Hall would definitely not leave with a strong start. Although it was relatively difficult to destroy Hokuto, it was hard to say now. In short, the news had spread. In just a short month, the entire universe was in an uproar. Hokuto had not been wiped out yet, and was already treated as a piece of meat by some forces, ready to be eaten at any time. These hegemons that were at the pinnacle of second-tier factions had godly monarchs presiding over them, mighty figure, sacred weapons guarding them, as well as the unparalleled resources accumulated by the peak races of the past. But now, they were like a tiny boat in a raging torrent that could capsize at any moment. This proved a problem. The pinnacle races were too tyrannical, and the ancestral hall was too strong. It was as if an army of cavalry could really conquer Hokuto. In short, many adventurers were preparing to use the teleportation array to head to the Big Dipper Star region. They were prepared to fish in troubled waters and excavate the divine treasures. The impact of this matter was too great. The collapse of such a race attracted the attention of all races. It'll take at least 3 days. The manager in charge of the teleportation array told Suyin, "From here to the Big Dipper Star region, you'll need to pass through 3 supply points. It'll take about 10 days. 10 days. Suyin frowned slightly. Actually, time was already very fast. After all, the teleportation array was extremely fast. But time waits for no one. Who knew what would happen in 10 days? Suyin wanted to use the fastest method to reach the Big Dipper Star. Although the aura of war had not spread out yet, if the Ancestral Hall was determined to attack Hokuto, the war would be over by the time the news reached here. It's already very fast. Dao Friend can rest for a few days in the Cosmos Business Alliance and buy and sell some treasures. The manager was quite enthusiastic. He felt that Su Yan's aura and strength at such a young age meant that his background wasn't small. Moreover, the price of using the teleportation array was very high. All right then. Su Yan could only nod and pay the deposit. Just the deposit alone was worth 30,000 celestial essence stones. After all, Su Yan had to cross over 2 mini-star regions. Normally, crossing over a star region would cost about 10,000 celestial essence stones. But crossing over 1,000 star regions would cost a lot. So those who could afford it were all rich experts. Haha, Dao Friend is really straightforward. You can rest assured and stay here. Once the teleportation array is activated, we will inform you immediately. The manager was full of smiles as he beckoned the servant girl beside him to receive Su Yan. Under the servant girl's guidance, Su Yan left the place and went to wander around the Cosmos Business Alliance. The North Star was the most powerful ancient planet. The Cosmos Business Alliance's shops here were all top-notch and had all kinds of treasures. As long as one had the money, it was very difficult to find all kinds of rare treasures that couldn't be bought. Very soon, he arrived at a huge hall that could accommodate 100,000 people. There were many people here, and all kinds of treasures were placed on the counter. Let's see if there's anything I need. Su Yan was also a knowledgeable expert. Ordinary treasures wouldn't be able to enter his eyes. His mind became active, thinking that he was now a grade 6 mystic arts expert and had a grade 6 Genesis brush. There was no need to talk about the cultivation of formations. Su Yan was prepared to make early preparations. It shouldn't be a problem to set up a starry sky slaughtering array. After all, the journey will take 10 days. I'm now the Supreme Star region of the Big Dipper Star region and can control the source energy of the Big Dipper Star region. If I can use the source energy to set up a starry sky slaughtering array, it will be amazing. Su Yan whispered in his heart. If a grade 6 mystic arts expert could use the power of heaven and earth, he could trap a god for a while. If Su Yan could use the source energy of the Big Dipper Star region, he could naturally kill a god. I wonder if this trip will be smooth. Su Yan clenched his fists. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. I have to be fully prepared. If I use the source energy of the Big Dipper, my combat power will be even stronger. I might even be able to suppress a god. I have to plan well so that I won't be at the mercy of others. The first thing Su Yan wanted to buy was the Boundary Breaker Talisman. In fact, he didn't just need 1 or 2. He was prepared to spend a lot of money to buy several Boundary Breaker Talismans. If he really encountered danger, He could use the boundary breaker talismans to escape. Su Yin found a place where no one was paying attention. He brought Yi Yuan and Tinsir out of the broken cauldron. They were discussing. It was too dangerous to go to the Big Dipper Star region. Perhaps even the powerful beings of the Ancestral Hall would kill their way there. It's too dangerous. Have you thought it through? Yi Yuan sighed. However, Hokuto had suffered because of Su Yin. If he really didn't go, how could he face Bamboo Moon in the future? Facing the Old Star Master and the others, when they saw Su Yin nod his head, Yi Yuan and Zhang Liang didn't say anything else. The amount of various treasures that Su Yin wanted to purchase was relatively large, and if he were to purchase them all by himself, it would definitely draw attention. The three of them split up and headed to some large stores in Ziwei City to sweep through the goods. In the process, Su Yin mixed some of the herbs from the Little Divine King Pill formula together. The formula for the Little Divine King Pill was the lifeblood of the Ancestral Hall. Heaven knew that His Majesty Daozu and whether the Cosmos Business Alliance had secretly contacted him. Hence, Su Yin was very careful. He couldn't reveal his true identity now. Their net worth was extremely shocking. Su Yin, in particular, didn't hesitate to say that his net worth was no less than a god's. If he added the yin-yang fish, his net worth would be terrifying. They didn't plan to sell the yin-yang fish. Just the various precious resources from the Divine Spirit Mountain Range were enough to make a huge fortune. The Astral Slaughter Formation Su Yin wanted to refine would cost no less than a few 100,000 celestial essence stones. The Astral Slaughter Formation he wanted to refine wasn't simple. It was a super formation that could bear the power of the origin. After a night, they spent close to 300,000 celestial essence stones. Su Yin was shocked. It was mainly because he found the herbs for the Little Divine King Pill. However, he didn't expect them to be so expensive. Treasures that could only be nurtured in the Chaos Ruins were extraordinarily expensive in the universe. Usually, only gods could use them. A large number of precious materials were purchased. The materials for the Astral Slaughter Formation weren't rare, but the quantity required was too large. The price was close to 150,000 celestial essence stones. However, this wasn't enough to hurt Su Yin. What disappointed him was that he didn't find anything like the force armor after searching for an entire day. I really don't know how many force armors there are. Back then, I obtained the silver force armor from the Bone Sea. Now, Su Yin could unleash the force armor's power to the extreme. It possessed the strength of a god. He had some confidence in this trip. Of course, if a large number of experts from the Ancestral Hall came, it was unknown if he could walk out alive. Mr. Steward Zhang asked me to inform you that the teleportation formation can be used. The voice from outside made Su Yin frown. Didn't they say there were 2 more days? Su Yin was naturally willing to leave early. He pushed open the door and walked out. Soon, he arrived at the teleportation formation. Thousands of cultivators gathered in the hall. They were also surprised. Why was it suddenly activated? However, a young man in purple robes strode over from afar. The hall was suddenly bustling with activity. Many experts went to greet him. Purple Jade King. Su Yin's eyes suddenly shrank. The teleportation formation must have been activated early because of the Purple Jade King's arrival. Haha, fellow Taoists, you're too polite. The Purple Jade King laughed loudly. He was awe-inspiring. After all, he was the most powerful person among the younger generation of the Cosmos Business Alliance. Even if his combat strength wasn't up to par, he would still be a powerful expert in the universe in the future. After all, the Cosmos Business Alliance's influence in the universe was too great. Fellow Taoist, since you're prepared to go to the Big Dipper Starfield, is the Ancestral Hall really going to make a move? Someone asked from the side. Ancestral Hall.